You.
And away we go. Another Friday edition of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. The fan upstate's in your ear holes. I am Rob Brown. The pleasure is mine. Directly across from me on the other side of the metaphorical glass, he is Colonel Grudge, hashtag Dad Kicks, the alpha and the omega of the fan upstate, the content cash cow, the conductor of the symphony of sound that is the Rob Brown Show. He is the great one, Lonzo. Happy Friday, man.
Ho, 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 you fat.
That was both an apropos entrance to the show and a callback from one of our favorite stories of the year. Well done. A career in stand-up comedy is about to start ripping for Zoe, and I'll be there for it. San Francisco are your NFC Western Division champions after they knocked off the Sea Chickens of Seattle yesterday.
You know, what happened with the, I watched a little bit of it and they were dominating. And I'm like, I'm going to find something else to do because this thing is over. It's embarrassing for Seattle. And then Seattle comes back. What happened?
I think San Francisco pulled off the gas just a little bit once they got that last drive and George Kittle made everybody look silly on his touchdown reception. That would be noted WWE fan and definitely not a man, George Kittle, who made the entire city of Seattle look silly with his touchdown.
Oh, but by the way, now what Purdy did on that play
was pretty dope.
Yeah, I mean,
the old double palm.
Yeah, he actually is going to throw it one way to one guy, and then he actually is going to throw it to McCaffrey, and the defense bites both ways, and the Kittles open up the middle. What a play that was. They'll never be able to use that again. But it looked good the one time they used it.
Kyle Shanahan said that Brock Purdy is the most composed rookie he's ever coached. And I got to tell you, when they went QB3 in the rotation after the loss of, QB1 and QB2, when they went to QB3 in the rotation, I think a lot of people were like, that's too bad, right? Like San Francisco, after the addition of McCaffrey with George Kittle, with Debo, who, by the way, when he got hurt to add to that equation, I think a lot of people were ready to write off the San Francisco 49ers. That's going to be one of those seasons that's talked about for a very long time as what if, right? What if Jimmy G doesn't go down? What if Trey Lance doesn't go down? What if Debo doesn't go down? What if? And instead, the Niners are like, we good. Don't worry about it. It's Brock Purdy.
That's beautiful. Is that not the youngest looking dude underneath the helmet? I mean, when they show people's helmets and you go, man, that dude looks like he's 15.
When they showed Brock Purdy
in his eyes, it's just like,
yeah. When they showed Brock Purdy after the win last week, I was like, what is Brock Purdy's son doing on the field? That's how young that dude looks. But Brock Purdy is getting it done. They go beat the Thunder Chickens in a game that the scoreline doesn't actually show you how dominant the 49ers were. Brock Purdy was in form. And by the way, again, remember, did that without Debo. Did that without the best playmaker in the game.
He did do it with that McCaffrey guy. I hear he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's all right. Imagine having that guy in the backfield for multiple years and accomplishing nothing with him.
Yeah.
It's unfathomable.
That would be pretty bad.
Speaking of the Panthers, We might as well get this one out of the way, out of the gate, shall we? Yesterday, a cat by the name of Mike Florio decided to do a little radio interview.
You act like that's a dude that people haven't heard of before. He's
That's why I was saying it sarcastically.
He's known a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to add credence. That's all.
That's fair.
No.
So Florio was doing a little radio. And at the time, he was doing an interview on 93.7 The Fan, which is out of, I believe, Pittsburgh.
Did you want to say no relation? I don't know if you should say that or not, because we don't know if they're related to us or not.
Yeah, no. I'm going no relation. No. They're the Fan. We're the Fan upstate. We're a very specific fan. Yeah, 93.7 The Fan. Actually, there is relation, Lonzo, because they're an Odyssey station. So our sister station.
No, they're our cousins, man.
Our step cousins from the weird uncle that isn't invited to the family reunion anymore,
but still shows up somehow.
But the weird uncle and the reason there's a bouncer at the family picnic. 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh. Florio went on the radio and was having a discussion about his thoughts on the concept of trading head coaches within the NFL. Now, obviously, it doesn't happen all that often, but it has happened. There was compensation for John Gruden to go to the Raiders. There was compensation for Herm Edwards. There's been compensation for Bruce Arians, who was already retired, but came out of retirement to go back to Tampa. And you're going to see it again because in this offseason, the New Orleans Saints are likely going to get at least one, if not more, first-round draft picks back for the right to Sean Payton's contract. Because Sean didn't retire, he just didn't want to be in New Orleans anymore. And after watching the team on the field, it's pretty damn evident why. Anyway, he went on to end that sentence where he said, quote, "I don't think teams do that enough. It happened a couple of times in the past decade. We know it's going to happen with Sean Payton at some point. I'm talking about trading for a guy like John Gruden with the Raiders. Buccaneers come in with a couple of first-round picks. Boom, they do the deal. There was compensation for Herm Edwards, compensation for Bruce Arians, who was already retired by the Arizona Cardinals. It wouldn't surprise me if David Tepper does it." When pressed a little further on David Tepper potentially making a trade for a head coach, Florio said another person to keep in mind alongside Mike Tomlin of the Pittsburgh Steelers. By the way, Guy, a head coach that has never had a losing season in the NFL.
Until this year, probably.
He still hasn't technically done it, so therefore has never had a losing season.
I stand corrected, or sit, but
Way to semantically correct yourself in the midst of a semantic correction.
I heard Chris Evans' voice in my head. I hate that.
Now, everybody got all up in it because they were like, yo, hang on. Tomlin isn't going anywhere, right? Tomlin isn't going anywhere. Tomlin is in a spot right now where the organization has always let him have the keys. They are obviously going through a turnover because, you switch quarterbacks. It's one thing. You switch a cornerstone quarterback like Ben Roethlisberger, it's something completely different. It's not the mention of Tomlin being traded from Pittsburgh to Carolina that I reacted to with, "Damn, Florio, I thought you were above hot takes." It was this one, Lonzo. Another person to keep in mind, not necessarily for the Panthers, is Bill Belichick. There are storm clouds brewing. They wouldn't fire him or let him walk away with no compensation. Maybe Tomlin to Carolina. It wouldn't surprise me if it happens. I'm surprised that vehicle isn't used more often to hire highly accomplished Super Bowl winning coaches.
Panthers have a lot of draft picks, and it would be ironic and funny if Belichick got traded for a bunch of draft picks. You don't think that would be funny? I think that would be pretty funny.
Hoodie getting drafted for a warehouse or getting traded for a warehouse of draft picks, a la the Belichickian way, would be hilarious. Let me go ahead and tell you this. We have seen a couple of coaches thus far in NFL history who have been traded for draft picks, and ordinarily it's for some pretty hefty compensation. But again, it is very rare. To me, I'm a little surprised by this, first and foremost, because Mike Florio has never really been, not saying that he's not guilty of it every now and then. I think everybody with a microphone is guilty of it every now and then. But Mike Florio has never really been a boat stirrer before, right? He's never a guy that you see hyped up with some hot take designed to spread his name across social media. He's kind of always been a dude that's like, here's where the NFL is. PFT is reporting that, and that's pretty much it. So, my immediate knee-jerk reaction to David Tepper and the Cats could make a trade for Mike Tomlin out of Pittsburgh. My immediate reaction to that was, is there anything to this? It is Florio, right? Like if with all due respect, the amount of due respect is up to you. If Colin Cowherd said this, I'd be like, click off, different channel. If any of the talking head morning show, someone please notice me, host said this, I would just click it to a new channel. Florio's not really that dude. So I kind of find it interesting, but I just don't see it happening, right? Like, I know Tomlin has never had a losing season, and that's great, but there's a second half unspoken to that sentence. Tomlin has never had a losing season
yet
with Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, well, I guess so you are doubting his ability, and you're basically saying the only reason why he won was because of his quarterback. Some people could say that about the other coach that you were mentioning.
Some people could. This person has. Brady was the key to the Patriots' success, not Hoodie. Evidence, reality.
By the way, I would think it's a combination of the two and not one without the other. And I know you can say, well, Brady went to, yeah, but that team was ready-made. There were quite a few quarterbacks of Brady's caliber, and yes, there are quarterbacks of Brady's caliber that could have went to that team and won the Super Bowl that year. And it also helps that Kansas City lost both of their tackles, or maybe that didn't happen.
I think that ultimately.
Did you just gang sign? What did you?
No, I pointed and I gave a thumbs up.
All right, I saw it out of the corner of my eye.
My man Diggs pops up. He's getting some love, man. And Skrilla's in here too.
I was trying to quote Iron Man loosely.
Gotcha.
Loosely.
Gotcha. I didn't admit the reference right over my head.
It's all right. It's been a long time since that movie came out.
So, it really has. It's been like 17 years since that movie came out.
It's been a while.
God.
Have you seen RDJ lately? Dude looks really old.
So we can save the who did more, Brady or Belichick conversation for a different point in time. I want to address this big pot of it that Florio decided to stir up.
I think you should put the Belichick thing aside. And the thing is, this guy is known, Florio is known as not the guy to make stuff up. So he's probably heard some chatter, but who you got? I mean, if it's Wilks or Tomlin, who are you going with? I mean, if you had the opportunity, if you are the Panthers, who are you going with? I think most people would say Tomlin.
I think a lot of people, you are correct. I think a lot of people would jump to Mike Tomlin, right? He's got a ring. He's been to the playoffs a lot. He's never had a losing season.
I would go watch the Panther games just to watch Tomlin on the sideline because he's very entertaining. You never know when a foot might just come out just for oops.
You know, he talked about that once. He said he was he said he was like, honestly, I did not intend to do that. No, of course you would say that.
It's a spasm, man. It happens every once in a while.
He said, because he's like, you see me jump, right? He's like, you see me jump out of the way. He goes, it's because when I saw him make the corner and I realized like this dude's going to break one, he was like, I started turning around to like get ready for the rest of the game. And then I heard the crowd swell up. So I looked up at the Jumbotron. And as he was running down the sideline, I'm like, who is that idiot on the field? Ah! And realized it was me. Jumped out of the way. Listen, I like Mike Tomlin. I don't have an issue with Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin was very fortunate to put into a good situation and to earn the trust of ownership right out of the gate. I think he had obviously a massive advantage in having Ben Roethlisberger in his prime as his QB. Let me put it this way. If you ask me, Steve Wilks or Mike Tomlin, I have to start with this. Steve Wilks has this team right with him, right? Lockstep with him right now. And I think even if you're a Steve Wilks cynic, you have to admit that this team is lockstep with Steve Wilks right now. You have got every superstar on this team coming out and going, we are ride or die with Steve Wilks. This is our guy.
I just want to point out we didn't know of anyone being disgruntled or anything during the Matt Rule era either. They were Matt Rule's guy. They gave him the game ball when he won the game and everything. So we didn't hear anything until afterwards that there might have been some problems there. So
but I also don't think you heard as many players coming out in defense of Matt Rule that you are like Wilks right now, right? Let me rephrase that. First off, you don't have to defend Wilks right now because there's nothing to defend. The guy took over a dumpster fire, and with a win in their next game will match, without being the head coach until week 6, Matt Rule's highest single season win total throughout his entire tenure. He's going to do it with 11 weeks as a head coach. And let's be real, with Tampa, New Orleans, Detroit, and Pittsburgh left to go, Steve Wilks has a damn good shot at winning more games in a single season than Matt Rule did. And he wasn't the head coach until week 6. You have got players. Frankie Louvu has stepped up and talked about this guy. Shaq Thompson has stepped up and said good things about Steve Wilks. J.C. Horn has stepped up publicly and said good things about Steve Wilks. If you bring in Mike Tomlin, you are going to have a handful of players who are going to immediately be Mike Tomlin guys. And then you're going to have a handful of guys that are like, this guy's got to earn my trust, right? I got to know I can trust Mike Tomlin.
I disagree. It's Mike Tomlin. I think right away he's got the locker room. I just do, because of his reputation and everything that people know about him and know from him around the league. Right away, he has the locker room. I don't think there would be any dissension at all. And by the way, also
Trey said someone needs to do a wellness check and drug test on Mike Florio.
If you know me, and you should, because I'm all right. I am a Chiefs fan and a Panthers fan, and as a Panthers fan, I need more out of Wilks. I'm not Rob. Like, yeah, he's the guy. I give me 2 more wins and you got me. I need to see those 2 wins though. I need to see you surpass the guy who is being overly criticized and deserves it, Matt Rule. But I want to see you surpass him.
You can't be deservedly over criticized. If you deserve it, then you are just criticized.
What?
So I get that. I just to some element disagree with it. Like I think Steve Wilks has a better hold on this team and has orchestrated this team so far better than Matt Rule ever did. And I think that's evident. And I think it's going to become more evident when this team wins this division, and I think they will at this point. That's not me paying lip service. I genuinely think the Buccaneers are that bad. The Falcons going to Desmond Ridder. Oh, and by the way, Desmond Ridder's going to start for Atlanta this weekend, and Marcus Mariota quit
He just said, all right,
Disappear. I'm out.
I'm done.
Deuces. Going home. Where you going, Marcus? I got a lazy boy at the house.
He didn't even go the Baker Mayfield route going, hey, can I be released?
Nope.
He just like,
Just
you know
left.
what? I'm going home.
If I'm going to sit my ass on a bench, I might as well do it at home. All right. Anyway, the Falcons ain't going to do it, and the Saints stink. So the Carolina Panthers are going to win this division, right? And I think at that point, I think Wilks has got to be the guy, right? You're doing an experiment here, right? Because on one hand, you want to go, Mike Tomlin has gotten the Steelers to a consistently high-performing team for a decade, right? But on the flip side, all that success came from Ben, a guy that Mike Tomlin didn't really have to develop all that.
All right. So I think you're giving Roethlisberger way too much credit, especially the last 3 or 4 years where he was not really that good. And the thing that kept the Steelers winning were their running game and their defense. And you're just giving Roethlisberger way too much credit.
Would we be having this discussion about Mike Tomlin right now if Big Ben wasn't there for 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 wins and a loss? Would we be having this conversation if Mike Tomlin was coaching the Sam Darnolds and Baker Mayfields of the world?
Well, I just want to say from my recollection, which is fading because, the first Super Bowl that Roethlisberger won, he was basically Peyton Manning. He was basically handing the ball off and not really doing a whole lot. The second one, he really contributed. He's been to 3 Super Bowls. Of course, we're talking about this guy. And Roethlisberger was good. He'll go in the Hall of Fame, but he's not the only reason why they've had winning seasons all those years.
Did you just call Peyton Manning a handoff machine?
He was in Denver. Come on. He could barely throw the ball to the end of this room when he was in Denver. It was embarrassing. But he got a Super Bowl. Good for him. Think I want to talk kindly about Denver? Come on.
Big Tebow guy over here. So I regret saying that. That's not going to go anywhere good for me.
You should.
So anyway, look, I think that you stick with Wilks. I think you do not want to. Here's the thing. You have finally kind of fallen backwards into a spot where you've got good chemistry in the locker room. You got a team that's fighting hard for itself and for each other. You've got a head coach that has clearly gotten to Ben McAdoo and like, look, here's the way we need to run this game if we want to win. Why take the risk of flipping that up with a guy who's going to come in and want to change up the locker room when you're at the best place you've been in 2.5, 3, 4 years? Let's take a break. We'll have more of those conversations. Texter says, need more out of Wilks. The damn cupboard is bare. I actually don't agree the cupboard is bare. I think the cupboard has been stocked for a minute and poorly used by the previous kitchen attendant. We'll talk more Panthers later on in the show. We got plenty to get to. It's Friday. We're going to have a little fun. He's Lonzo. I'm Rob. And this is the Rob Brown Show. Back after this.
Sunny skies here for today with a high of 52, and tonight mostly clear, low near 33. Saturday mostly sunny, high 39. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Buczynski on the Fan Upstate. Currently it's 36.
I thought learning a language would be too much work. Then I discovered Babbel.
Kevin, are you doing like voice to text, man? Because a couple of your things are very disjointed today, and it's not your normal writing style. Look at a couple, especially. It doesn't. Yeah. Long night, maybe. I mean,
Joe said, how do you feel about your guy Drew Brees surviving that lightning strike?
You mean the new assistant coach at Purdue?
Yeah, man. Good on Drew. Why not?
I'm sorry, interim.
Actually,
interim.
it's assistant coach.
No,
Interim assistant coach.
it's interim assistant coach. Yes.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com. This feature is sponsored by Dell. Dell Technologies Days of Deal starts now with savings on select business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
The Greenville Winter Invitational Division I Men's Basketball Showcase. Catch the Clemson Tigers, Carolina Gamecocks, and Furman Paladins take on the Coors Wellness Arena Saturday, December 17th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
Gas, groceries, vacations, most everything seems to have increased in cost these days. At My Affordable Braces, we believe that everyone should be able to afford confidence and a beautiful smile without breaking the bank. My Affordable Braces has been offering braces starting at $39.95 for years.
Kevin said he's being sneaky at work to watch him participate in the show. Respect, Kev.
Okay.
Respect.
All right. I was worried. I just was.
Diggs, what's up? How you doing, big dog? Good to have you. Appreciate you coming by, my man. Trey, thanks for checking in. Skrilla, always good to see you. You know that, my guy.
And yes,
James, what's happening?
the majority of you have a writing style, and yeah. So do certain texters, and you can tell by the style of the text who it is.
Oh, whoa. It's time.
You're not in the business of winning football games. You're in the business of trying to prove your own asinine decisions correct. We can talk about the Irsay thing. Do I think the Saturday thing is the biggest joke in the history of the NFL? I do. But at least he was willing to say, this ain't working for me. I don't care that I just gave him extensions.
Listen to In the Huddle, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast.
Sponsored by Taco Bell. Taco Bell is sorry for going too far with its past breakfast. All you need in the morning is tasty, simple food, like a breakfast crunch wrap. Fluffy eggs, cheese, sausage, hash browns wrapped in a warm tortilla. Grab one at participating Taco Bell stores during breakfast hours only until 11 a.m. while supplies last.
Mark Ryan tells it like it is. Coming up on a Friday episode of Offsides with Mark Ryan and Diesel. In the holiday spirit, we spent enough time going over what's wrong with college football. We'll talk about what's right. Mega deals in Major League Baseball, do they work? Plus, Brent Beard, Heisman Trophy voter. That and so much more on a Friday episode.
Number one for real afternoon sports talk.
Offsides with Mark Ryan.
3 to 7.
Upstate.
Come on, Kevin. How could the Dolphins lose with the most accurate quarterback in all of the NFL?
Just because Lonzo's being snarky right now, I want to bring this up just to get his reaction.
Yeah, you act like that's an unusual thing.
It's not. Tyreek Hill went on Shannon Sharp's podcast and did an interview with Unc Shay Shay. And Shay asked him, all right, dude, you were set up in KC. You won a ring or two. Things were going great. Why'd you want out? Why'd you want out of Kansas City? You were the dude. And in that interview, he told Shannon Sharp, a season after, he brought in 159 targets over the course of the season, right? Dude was targeted on average.
Way too many.
Dude was targeted on average 9 times a game. On average, 9 times a game. He said that, quote, there'd be some games where I got 2 targets, I got 3 targets, so I'm calling my agent every week after they say some crazy stuff like that. Bro, I gotta get out of here. He said that he, quote, didn't feel valuable, end quote, after games where he didn't get enough targets. Reek said, I wanted the ball more, and Patrick Mahomes wasn't giving it to me. I wanted out. And Miami said, we got you, dog. We got you. We'll target you 15 a game. How do you feel about that? And he decided to head down to Miami. wasn't targeted enough, Lonzo. 159 targets in a season, which is a stupid high number for even Pro Bowl caliber wide receivers. Said he didn't feel valuable.
But I feel validated because I believe I said on the air that I think Tyreek Hill was the kind of guy who said, "Hey, you need to throw the ball to me. Hey, you need to throw Hey, you need to throw the ball to me. Hey, you need to throw the ball to me," to the point where you put pressure on your quarterback where he thinks he has to throw it to you so many times just to get you to shut up, which to a certain degree I get, but finding out that Tyreek Hill is a me guy, is anyone really shocked by that?
You guys know me. 95% of the time I'm in the player's corner, right? 95% of the time I'm in the player's corner. Reek on the Unk Shay Shay pod was one of the first times that I was like, blah, blah, what? Tyreek, what? Wasn't targeted enough, wasn't used enough as a wide receiver. You were targeted 10-ish times a game, dude. Like, you're going to have some, and you got to keep in mind, in being Tyreek, a guy that you cannot run man-to-man coverage on. You can't do it. If you run man-to-man on Tyreek, a single coverage, man-to-man on the outside, you're going to get toasted, right? NFL defenses have to shade Reek. Like him or not, he's quick and he's got hands. You have to shade to Tyreek. And what's going to happen when you shade an entire defense towards one dude, especially when you've got weapons like Kansas City's got right now, and you got guys like Travis Kelce over the middle, whose job, his only job, Travis Kelce, a spectacular route runner and pass catcher, but the best thing Travis Kelce does is as he breaks off and gets to the second line, he looks to see where the gap in coverage is, and he finds it, and he sits in it, and Patty finds him, right? Tyreek's job, as much as anything else, is get down the field. If they go solo coverage, to catch ridiculous touchdowns. And if they don't, to drag an entire defense to one side of the field, utilize your natural speed and defense's fear of it to open up holes for other guys to sit in, fill up, and catch the football. And yet you still got 159 targets, Tyreek. Listen. There's very few times that I'm like, let me take 5 minutes. Let me take 5 minutes just to talk about a single wide receiver off of an NFL team whose market I'm not in. If we do 5 on DJ Moore, that makes sense. If we do 5 on TMJ, that makes sense, right? We're in the market. Most fans of the NFL teams around here are Panthers fans. It makes sense. 5 minutes about Reek was earned because dude told Shannon Sharp after a 159 target season, I didn't get enough opportunities.
I wonder after this, and man, I hope this happens after him saying this, will now every time there's a Kansas City broadcast, will they quit saying his name? Well, Tyreek Hill isn't here anymore, and a lot of people thought that Kansas City's performance would go down. And you have to say that 3 or 4 times a game. Now maybe they won't say it.
According to fantasypros.com.
Sounds legit.
No, I actually have used this site before. It's all it is a stat compiler, right?
Okay.
It's just a stat compiler. You can go there.
I really love stats.
If you're a fantasy football manager, you do. I'm a fantasy football. Well, up until week 11, I was a fantasy football manager. Anyway, according to fantasypros.com, all they do is compile stats and put them in a spreadsheet so that you can look at any formula you want to figure out the guys that are valuable to you. Tyreek Hill in 2021, Zoe, was the 3rd most targeted wide receiver in the National Football League. The only 2 guys who got more targets than Tyreek were Devontae Adams and Justin Jefferson, both of whom are guys that are maybe a step slower than Tyreek, but also guys that I trust much more coming across the middle or going up for 50-50 spots than Tyreek, right? Tyreek's a streak wide receiver, but if we're at the 5-yard line, Tyreek doesn't really help me in that spot. Devontae does. JJ does. He had more targets than Stephon Diggs, than CeeDee Lamb, than Deontay Johnson, than Austin Eckler, than DK freaking Metcalf. But he wasn't targeted enough? Tyreek. Cool, my guy. Cool off. Relax. You were the third most. How are you the third most targeted wide receiver in the league?
Yeah, no,
that's not enough.
I'm sure he's saying, how am I the third most targeted? Why am I not first?
Oh, by the way, you know how many more targets? Devontae and Justin Jefferson were tied for most targets last year with 10.9 a game. You know how many more targets Devontae and Justin Jefferson had than Tyreek? 3. If Tyreek played one more quarter of football, he would have been the most targeted wide receiver in the National Football League. As a dude who does not have up and over the middle or red zone caliber talent. He's a down the field wide receiver. 3 more targets. He's the most targeted receiver in the league. Shut up, Tyreek. I actually don't have a problem with Tyreek. I don't have an issue with Tyreek, but this is a bad take. It's just a bad take.
Is Miami going to make the playoffs?
No.
I mean, if they won out, probably. And I realize they're what, 8-5?
They're 8-5. They're not going to win the AFC East, right? I think we all think Buffalo's probably going to finish that off. Unless Miami somehow goes into the blizzard this weekend and beats the Bills, they're not going to win. If they lose to the Bills this weekend, they won't win the East. So then their best shot is to be one of the 3 wildcard teams, right? Well, at 8-5 right now, they would be behind the second place team in the AFC North. The Ravens and the Bengals are tied at 9-4. So they'd be right there in that slot. They would be a playoff team today, but the Patriots and Jets are both 7-6, 1 game out of Miami, and playing better football right now than Miami. Miami's on an absolute cold streak right now. Tua has reverted back to last year's Tua. The Patriots and the Jets are both playing, although the Jets obviously with the quarterback chaos, think about it this way. Instead of looking at 8-5 for Miami and the fact that they're on a 2-game losing streak right now and are sub 500 on the road, the Jets, with all the chaos going on around the Jets, are a game out of Miami. The Patriots, with all they've been going through, are a game out of Miami. Miami can turn it around. If they break the 2-game losing skid this weekend and knock off Buffalo, then they're fine. If they lose to Buffalo, they stay at 8-6. I don't know. All right, let's take a break. Texas says, Rob, he has more targets and better numbers this season so far. He did when Tua early in the season had his stretch of good. Now he's back to being 2, and those numbers are all down. Listen, I get it. I understand. He believes that what I think it comes down to is there were too many weapons in Kansas City for him to be the Pro Bowl candidate he wants to be. And I get that. But to say you weren't targeted enough, my guy, you were the 3rd highest targeted wide receiver in the NFL, and you were 3 back. Let's see what his target numbers were this year. I'll tell you later on in the show. Stick around, don't go anywhere. Rob Lonzo, you the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate.
still in the thick of the NFC South race. They've won 2 in a row, 5-8 overall, tied with the Falcons, chasing the Buccaneers, who are 6-7.
Falcons.
Carolina at home this Sunday afternoon against the Steelers. Linebacker Brandon Smith was the only player to sit out practice Thursday. Wide receiver DJ Moore's dealing with an ankle injury, but was a full participant in Thursday's practice. Pittsburgh has yet to announce their starting quarterback. Kenny Pickett's in the concussion protocol and was limited at practice. That gave Mitch Trubisky and Mason Rudolph more work. Cornerback Cameron Sutton and running back Najee Harris.
Move a file.
Steelers coming off last Sunday's 2-point loss against the Ravens. College hoops tomorrow, 4:30 tip-off for Paladins basketball at home against Stephen F. Austin. We'll have all the action live right here on the Fan Upstate. The 7-4 Paladins coming off Tuesday's 92-73 loss at NC State. Catch every Carolina Panthers game live on Classic Rock 101.1. Download the Odyssey app, then search the Fan Upstate and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders.
I've said this before. I think Tyreek Hill limited Patrick Mahomes to a certain degree because he felt like he had to throw the ball to him more, probably because he was complaining the entire time. Now we know that why he left. I'm not really that surprised. And yes, it helps that Kansas City hasn't really missed a beat since he left. So if they had and they were having a horrible season, that would be different. And yes, Kevin, I know they didn't beat Buffalo and they didn't beat Cincinnati either.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it.
Exactly. You can say, well, they stopped throwing me the ball.
To cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
Hey, it's Tiki Barber. When part of your offense isn't firing on all cylinders, it shows. And sometimes the only solution is to replace that part with something new. It's true on a championship team and
I don't want to do nothing.
eBay Motors.
I don't want to do the work today.
Right prices. 122 million of them. That way you can get the parts you need to make your car a winner. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Let's ride.
Some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
At Lowe's, it pays to be a pro. Now through January 6th, Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards members earn 1 bonus point for every.
What's it feel like to have a small neck?
Lowe's Business Credit.
Do you feel like your head is like a Pez display? I mean, I don't know. What's it feel like? Anybody out there have a small neck? If you do you admit that you have a small neck? I'm not saying Rob doesn't have a small neck, but not the kind of neck that I'm thinking of. Like you guys didn't already know I'm weird.
What do you think about the show, by the way?
I was amazed by the lights. I was amazed by how good the musicians were, how it was put together as far as, because it's more what I believe Broadway is than what people expect. I was told it's going to be a rock concert, but it's more of a story told with music.
It's a production.
Yeah, it is, and it was very, very good. I really love the keyboard players, man. There were, I believe, 2 of them. The way they're shadowed, it's hard to tell how many actually. Is there really an orchestra? I think there is in the background, but the one guitarist would go back and forth.
For those of you who are wondering what we're talking about Alonzo saw Trans-Siberian Orchestra for the first time.
Yeah, and I also had a lot of fun watching people try to walk up and down the stairs while the light show is going on. Come on, people.
It's disorienting.
Yeah, just don't try. Don't try. This one dude, I thought he was losing all the food that he brought, to the point where people were asking, "Are you okay? Are you all right?" He's like, "Yeah, I got it." It's like, when the lights are flashing, don't try to walk downstairs or up steps or anywhere. Just stay in your seat.
Yeah, big fan. Big fan.
When they come back next year, I definitely want to make sure. I've had the opportunity to go for, I don't know, a decade or so. I've just never been able to do it till this last time. I'm so glad I went.
It's a hell of a show. It is. All right, let's get a couple more things in here before we clear out this area. I wanted to jump on this real quick. College football blows me away in one fact. And that fact is there is a enormous percentage of people who absolutely freaking love to scramble to claim the moral high ground, right? It was shocking the last 3 days and continues today. The number of people who are so quick to take the decision of a college football player, particularly and predominantly right now, the decision of some players like Myles Murphy, defensive end from Clemson, who is likely going to be the second defensive end taken off the board and a first-round draft pick, who is in line for tens of millions of dollars in the league, and tell him that he made the wrong decision. It blows my mind how quickly people decide that the decision that they would make is the right decision and any other decision is the wrong decision, right? I heard a discussion yesterday about Myles Murphy's decision to go to the league and to sit out of the Orange Bowl. He is the first Clemson player to opt out of the Orange Bowl and decide instead to sit out and prepare for the draft. And I heard yesterday multiple people jump on board with, this is the wrong decision. It shows a lack of character. It shows a lack of integrity. It shows a lack of loyalty. It shows a lack of this or that, fortitude, whatever. It blows my mind how quickly people love to scramble to claim moral superiority. It cracks me up, frankly, right? And all people, I can't say all because I don't know that it's consensus. But I would imagine of the group of people scrambling to get to the top of Mount High Horse, there are a lot of people who have, switched jobs before because another job, paid more and gave them opportunities that the initial job did not. It blew my mind to hear. And I'm going to take. I'm going to quote something. Well, I'm going to reference something that I heard Mark Ryan say on Offsides yesterday. He said he got a DM from a family member of Myles Murphy. He said he got a DM from a family member of Myles Murphy who opted out of Clemson's bowl game to get ready for the draft, saying, dude, you don't know how difficult this decision was for him. And I can't imagine it would be, right? It's not just opting out for Myles Murphy, but it's also being labeled by those brave adventurers scrambling to the top of the summit of Mount High Horse. The first Clemson player to be a healthy opt-out for a bowl game under Dabo to go to the league. The dude is taking mountains of trash for that decision. And he said, you know, there's been effectively 3 players so far that played in a non-playoff bowl game that were projected to be high draft picks that suffered what would otherwise be season-ending injuries in a bowl game, right? Mark's take was, you're more likely to be injured in a car accident on the way to practice than you are playing in the actual bowl game. And my thought was, imagine telling those 3 cats that got injured and had their draft picks impacted and had potentially tens of $1 million taken off the board in order to play in a game that, and again, it might be meaningful to you. A non-playoff bowl game may have some sentimental value to you. That does not mean that it doesn't mean it has meaning. It might to you, right? I'm a bit of a pack rat, Lonzo. I've been accused of that in the past, right? Like, I have a hard time disconnecting from material items that have sentimental value to me. There is a shirt hanging in my closet that belonged to my dad. I haven't worn that shirt but maybe once since my dad passed away, but I can't get rid of it, right? I just cannot bring myself to get rid of it. And at one point going through the closet, I pulled the shirt out. The lady friend was like, I've never seen you wear that shirt. And I was like, yeah, and you probably won't. It's a hideous shirt. If I wear it, it will be ironically, it's a bad shirt. It has no value to me as an article of clothing, but it means a lot in terms of the sentimental value behind it. That's a bowl game, right? It may have sentimental value to you to be Orange Bowl champion. To Myles Murphy, it doesn't mean anything. It might mean, let me rephrase that. In the scope of career accomplishments, it doesn't mean anything. Do you think that Myles Murphy is going to go up 10 or 15 draft picks because he's an Orange Bowl champion? Nope. Do you think that when he goes to sign his rookie contract, the NFL franchise that drafts him is going to go, by the way, here's a $5 million bonus for being Orange Bowl champion? Nope. Meaning and value are different. The game may have meaning to you. Of course it does. It has meaning to a fan. You want to win every game, even ones that are irrelevant, right? As somebody said the other day, if you didn't play games that were meaningful, every college football program would shut itself down after they took its second loss, right? You can't make the playoffs anymore with 2 losses. It never happened. So after you lose game 2, just shut the franchise down. What's the point? The reality is, we are talking about a decision that impacts a fraction of a percentage of kids. This is not, you know, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, it's just a game. It's just a game. Remember, these are kids and they're playing a game. Yes, they are playing a game. But for some people, it is not a game. It's a career. It's their livelihood. Myles Murphy's one of them. First round draft pick. Imagine if Myles goes out there, gets a sack, and rips his ACL in the process. Now, all of a sudden, tens of millions off the table. And for what? So that you could go, really glad I got to see the best version of Clemson in a game that's irrelevant? Lot of explorers making their way to the top of Mount High Horse. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
If you have certain chronic conditions such as heart disease,
Asthma,
diabetes, and you're 19 years of age or older, 52,
36,
42. You may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the
I bet
vaccine.
that thing's going to be hurting tomorrow night, Kevin, because, arthritis gets in those things, those injuries.
I am riddled with arthritis.
Please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I'm going to ask my doctor about getting vaccinated.
With Prevnar 20.
I don't know what they're talking about there, but a text to our sister station just came in, Zoe, that says, no way you can get man boobs being a vegan.
This is something to ponder. So, can you get fat eating plant-based products?
Can you? I'm assuming you would have to eat a ton of them.
Right, right.
At the end of the day, I had this discussion with the lady friend the other day, right? Because we're both trying to lose some weight. At the end of the day, there are a lot of variables that impact like how your metabolism's working and your gut biome and all that.
Good boy.
But it all comes down to calories in versus calories out, right? Like, are you burning more calories than you take in? Now, how many calories you burn is determined by your metabolism and your energy level and all of that. But how many calories you take in versus how many you burn, like if all you eat is celery, like a celery stick has like 10 calories in it, right? So if you eat nothing but celery sticks, you are going to burn more calories than you take in which case you're going to lose weight.
Yeah, but if you eat a bunch of tomatoes, there are certain fruits that naturally have
Right.
sugar in them.
Right.
And
Apples
people
are
don't
not as
think
good
about
for
that.
you as you want them to be, which as somebody trying to lose weight is wild. You won't understand how disappointing it is to be like, you know what? I think I'm just going to eat some apples for lunch. And then you find out that, that sugar load is actually bad for you. Basically, if you want to lose weight, celery, and you can't even dip it in peanut butter, right? We bought almond butter the other day because I'm like, all right, well, it's like a substitute. It'll be all right. It's not.
You're saying Mark Henry's is a vegan? I don't think so, unless he became one recently. I know he was dropping some weight, but he could be, I guess.
I am down 11 in the past 2 weeks. You know how frustrating it is to do nothing but just stop eating what you're eating and then instantly drop a dozen pounds? Wildly frustrating.
I'm not going to tell you how much I lost in a week. So
Do you think Aaliyah Boston from the Virgin Islands by way of Boston, Massachusetts grew up a big Gamecocks fan? No, Aaliyah Boston probably didn't hear about the Gamecocks until she was well on her way to being recruited, but she saw the culture being built in South Carolina, realized that she could be a part of it and benefit from it.
the real question is, again, can you get fat being a vegan? And I think you can.
I don't think you can.
I really do.
Can you get fat being a vegan? Vegan diets can be too high in healthy fats. Some of the healthiest vegan foods like avocados, nuts, and seeds are extremely high in calories, and consuming them in excess can lead to weight gain. How about that? Basically, you have to eat things that taste bad, and you have to eat so little of it that you still are hungry.
Yeah.
If you want to be unhealthy, you have to be miserable with the diet. I've come to that conclusion. There's no way
Although
around it.
a lot of green stuff will cause you to be regular. So
Regular. Here's a weird question for the chat. What mobile games are you playing right now? Like on your phone, what mobile games are you playing right now? Because I got to tell you, there's like 2 or 3 that I play regularly and routinely, but I've kind of gotten bored of them. Like I just deleted like 9 games off my phone, which probably is someone trying to be a productive member of society. I should just delete all of them off the phone and be done with it.
Yeah, I'm just very patient. I've been playing Dragon Ball Dokkan for 8 years,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Like,
Really
I-
close to level 500.
I will candidly admit that I played Pokemon Go like a lot, mainly because it was my excuse to like go downtown and walk around.
Oh, we played it a bunch too.
But
It
I kind of
was
fell
fun.
off of that a little bit.
Upstate Lights, first break.
In case you haven't joined us on the live stream at any point, which you are very much welcome to do by joining us at facebook.com/thefanupstate, by joining us at twitter.com/thefanupstate, or by searching and subscribing to the Rob Brown Show on Twitch or YouTube and BT Dub. If you've got one of them, their smart TVs that have all the applications on them, you can go to the YouTube app on your TV, search for the Rob Brown Show there as well, and you can just watch us on TV like a TV show. We're like your favorite morning sports TV with half the yelling.
Yeah. I'm slow, but yeah, half the yelling. I get heated every once in a while.
Every once in a while.
Every once in a while.
You don't yell, though.
I don't, because I'm still cognizant, whatever word you want to use,
a good one.
of mic levels and how to be stern and loud without yelling. I don't know.
If you have not joined us on the stream yet, during the break, our off-the-air discussion was about a text that came in to our sister station, WORD, our news talk station across the hall. And the text says, and I quote, "No way you can get man boobs being a vegan." That's the whole text. No way you can get man boobs being a vegan. So
I believe you can. So, and Rob doesn't. There's that.
Like in being a vegan, there are vegan friendly foods that are still high in fats, healthy fats, but fats nonetheless, and high in calorie content. And at the end of the day, weight loss is dictated by, do you burn more calories than you take in? If you burn more than you take in, you lose weight. If you take in more than you burn, you gain weight. There are things that impact the number of calories that you burn, but that equation remains true. So I don't know what they're talking about over there, but it involves man boobs.
I could text Tim and ask him if you want.
Is Tim a vegan?
No, but he's
doing
running
the
the
show.
He's running the
Okay.
show, so you might know what the
So-
thing was about.
So here's the thing. I am again trying to lose weight. I'm down like a dozen lbs in the last week and a half, mainly because Zoe, I have not had an alcohol in 2 weeks.
Huh?
Except our Christmas party. I did have an alcohol at the Christmas party. So I have had a couple of alcohols, but only one night.
So there are exceptions. Okay.
Yes.
But even so,
outside of the Christmas party, I've had one alcohol.
that's like beyond moderation. That's cutting. That's
Abstinence.
cutting back.
Yeah. And just in cutting the booze out, I've dropped a dozen lbs out the gate, right? Which is like maddeningly frustrating to me. And I thought, all right, I got a couple of things coming up in the early portion of next year, right? I am going to, fingers crossed, hopefully be rejoining the Greenville Liberty as their play-by-play voice. And we're going to try to upgrade the tech this year, so maybe I'll be on camera a little bit. I got a couple of other potential TV opportunities that could be coming down the pipe. And also, I'm just fat and I don't want to be anymore. So I thought at one point, Zoe, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to go crazy, but I'm going to enjoy Christmas. I'll enjoy New Year's like I traditionally do. And then maybe I'll try the vegan thing like January through my birthday, right? Between January and my birthday, which is late February, there's nothing going on.
Yeah, but there's a show going on, and when people change eating habits, so does their temperament to a degree, and maybe energy level. I'm just saying, maybe don't go straight vegan right away. Just suddenly, I'm vegan today. Maybe just ease yourself off the meat. You know,
Don't go cold, not turkey.
Exactly.
We'll see. I thought about it, but I honestly can't tell you a meal I've ever had that didn't involve dead animal that I finished and was like, I feel satisfied and thoroughly content now.
Not even while you're eating your traditional salad at Thanksgiving.
I did have a salad at Thanksgiving. It was delightful. Thank you for asking.
So weird.
A nice Caesar to start off. We had salad options, by the way. I sent you a picture of the salad I had on Thanksgiving. It's delightful.
I think that was placed there. I think that was photoshopped. I don't believe it, but I'm a cynic.
Anyway, then I went through and just absolutely wrecked turkey. That night when we were watching the night game, I'm the dude that sits on the couch with the turkey leg, right? So now I'm going to go I don't know, man. I feel like that would have been
turkey in moderation is a low calorie meat. So, I mean, depending on how much you ate.
I banged down a plate of it at dinner, a plate of it for supper, or flip those, whatever the proper order is. And then I sat on the couch and watched football that night and ate not one, but both turkey legs.
Rob the Hobbit.
All right, let's get back to sports, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Good to have you. Texture says half the yelling. Rob yells half the time, which is part of what we are here for. Rob rage, mostly incited by Lonzo's cattle prods.
Yeah, that was the point. He was, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's
the
joke I was making. Okay, let's get some other stuff to go on. Shane Beamer was, shall we say, Lonzo, adamant in his defense of Dow Loggins being hired as the OC the other day. We played you a couple of clips, and he was stern with the media.
Sorry, I'm labeling a chapter over here, climbing Mount High Horse.
I came up with that on the fly. I felt like that was pretty good.
Dude, that was
pretty good.
That was a moment, I thought.
I'm so tired of people claiming moral superiority over other people's decisions. Like, don't worry about it. Who was that? I think my guy Trey in the chat a minute ago. Let's see. Where did he sent a message. He said, Rob, don't lie. You're disappointed when players opt out of the bowl game. Look, if my team is in a bowl game, do I want to win the bowl game? Sure. Of course I do. I want to win every game. Do I start my year off next year dejected because we're not Orange Bowl champs or Citrus Bowl champs or Gator Bowl champs? No, not really. You know what the game I'm concerned most about right now for my college football team is? Week 1 next season. Week 1 next season. That's the next game I'm concerned with. We win the bowl game, cool. We get a fun t-shirt. I have never in my life purchased a shirt that said blank bowl champions. I've purchased shirts that say national champions. Sure. But I've never purchased a shirt that says blank bowl. TaxSlayer.com bowl champions. Bitcoin bowl champs. Never hung that banner in the man cave.
All right. So I never bought them. They were bought for me. So I don't know where that stands there, but I didn't say, no, I don't want this shirt.
Yeah. I've never said that. I've also not worn, I have never owned a bowl champions shirt that wasn't a bowl played for a national, right? Never happened. So
wait a minute. My bowl shirts were for that.
So that being said, I am not disappointed when a kid opts out, because I don't claim the moral high ground over people that are doing what is best for them, right? Now, someone may do something that they believe is best for them, and it turns out not to be. There are absolutely going to be kids who transfer out of a program, hit the portal, and nobody picks them up, right? Some 2-star reserve left guard realizes that they just brought in a 5-star freshman and he's never going to see the field again. So he hits the portal and then he looks around and goes, where's everybody at? And unfortunately, just as I have said multiple times, that's an adult decision these kids get to make. But they will also live with the adult consequences of that decision. And if you want to hit the portal and then nobody picks you up, that is a consequence, an adult consequence of the adult decision that you have made to hit the portal. And if you're going to hit the portal, you have to live with that possibility, right? We have all seen people in our lives make a decision that they truly believed was the best for them. And then you're looking at it going, dude, no. I've got a buddy of mine that about 7 years ago, so he made a decision that was the best for him. He lived down in Destin. He sold everything he owned, right? We always hear like, oh, sell everything on it. This guy literally sold everything he owned. He owned like 3 sets of clothes and a suitcase. He went down to the Bahamas. He took the money by selling everything that he owns, though, and he bought a bar on the beach in the Bahamas. A bar, by the way, about the size of this studio. Was it, right? Bought it as a bar. Took the rest of it, set up his bar, started running his bar. All of us were like, dude, are you sure? He was a bartender in Destin, was doing pretty damn well as a bartender in Destin. We're like, are you sure? He's like, that's what's best for me. Like, are you sure? We don't think it is, man. We feel like you're having a midlife crisis. We feel like you're making a very drastic decision, the consequences of which could be dire, right? You go down to Jamaica, you invest everything you have in this bar. If this bar fails, as most bars do, you are now in Jamaica with, or the Bahamas, excuse me. You are now in the Bahamas with nothing. Dude has now, Zoe, about 7 times over increased the size of this bar. It is a bar that is kind of close to where the cruise ships dock. The bar is overflowing. That dude is now living his absolute freaking best life.
You bet on yourself. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't.
Sure, and there's consequences to it. So no, I don't get disappointed when a kid doesn't decide to play in a bowl game. Because, as I've said, at the end of the day, the bowls don't matter to me. To me, right? I think Diesel said yesterday, just because the bowl games don't matter to you doesn't mean they matter. But the opposite of that is true as well. Or just because the bowl games don't matter to you doesn't mean they don't matter. Right. But just because something does matter to you doesn't mean that it does matter.
And see, that's a major problem with points of view. People believe they can't see the other side of the argument because they feel so strongly that their side is right. And it's the same on every level of life, including politics and everything like that. Sometimes you gotta look and say, okay, I see their point of view. I disagree with it, but it doesn't. You can't say that point of view is wrong, because this is all an opinion. I just don't. I don't. There was a time when I felt like they do, as far as loyalty goes, but when you start throwing in money and a bunch of other stuff, it's changed. You either change with it or you're the old guy on the porch complaining about the weather.
Here's the thing. I get where you're coming from. And let me phrase it. I agree with all of that you just said. I agree with you, right? The folks that scramble to the top of Mount High Horse do so under the flag of ideologies, right? Loyalty, commitment, respect. They're like the John Cena promo of people. It's just a bunch of buzzwords trying to convince everybody of how good of a person you are. Loyalty is important. I'm not arguing it's not. Commitment's important. I'm not arguing it's not. But I'm also saying you are using it as a placeholder for not having a good argument for why Myles Murphy shouldn't opt out, right? Pragmatically speaking, Myles Murphy has millions of reasons to opt out of the Orange Bowl, and the only thing you've got is loyalty.
But these are people with so much love for the college game and hatred towards the NFL. And because of that, anyone who would decide to take the thing that they love so much and go, yeah, I enjoyed it while I was there, but I'm going over here, so I'm going to get ready to go over here. They have trouble grasping that, because then they have to admit that people actually want to go to the place that they don't like.
I think part of it is, if I may take that a step further and see if you agree with it. I think part of it, and this may be what you were saying, and I'm just phrasing it differently. Myles Murphy, by saying I'm opting out of the bowl game and preparing for the draft, is saying being at the NFL level is more important to me and therefore better for me and therefore better than playing in a college bowl game. And I will absolutely agree that there is a not consensus, but sweeping generalization that I have been able to draw. And it is this. So the majority of the people who go in on these kids opting out to go to the league are the same people that go on and on about how college football does everything better than the NFL, right? Now, you're not going to hear Rob Brown saying college does this better and the NFL does that better and the NFL does this worse and college does that worse. You're not going to hear that, because to me, they're two separate entities. They're both playing football, but they're two separate things. I don't compare the NFL to college, just like I don't compare NASCAR to F1. They're at their core, they're the same sport, right? NASCAR and F1 are both racing. But they're entirely different in every other regard, right? I heard Diesel the other day say something to the tune of, college football just has a better environment. And then proceeded to say, I've been to one NFL game. And oh, by the way, it was like week 5 of the Panthers season when they sucked. Well, yeah, dude. I'm pretty sure if I go to a college football game for a 1-win football team, the environment's not exactly going to throw the pants off me, right? And that's kind of the spot is the folks who bash Myles Murphy feel, I think what it comes down to, though, is they feel personally attacked, right? Because college football, they recognize it as superior football as opposed to just a different product. And so when a guy like Myles Murphy says, I'm going to the league, I'd rather be in the league than play in a bowl game, it feels personal to them. And so they jump on the high horse. And the reality is, guy, Myles Murphy ain't thinking a damn thing about you when he makes this decision. He's doing what's best for him. And you may not agree it's what's best for him, but it absolutely is.
See, that's the thing. They take it personal because it hurts their argument. And then you have to start believing, okay, there are some people who actually are looking towards the NFL, which that's what everyone's dream, who ever played football, is to get to the highest level. And if you have the opportunity to not only get there, but make some money there, I mean, it's the smart move on your part to go ahead and do the thing, work on the things that you need to work on to upgrade your draft status. And there are a lot of these guys that are told, hey, you really need to work on trimming a few tenths off your 40, or work on your lateral movements a little bit, or things like that. Work on your high jump or whatever they call it, where you, I mean, and those are things, there are places out there that you can go to do that. And that's going to help you make a lot more money. And a lot of these guys who complain about this, if they had the opportunity to go, okay, if I leave now and I go do these 2 weeks of training, it's going to up my salary by another $20,000, $30,000. I'm being, talking about their level. They would do that for sure. If any of us had a chance to go do some training right now for 2 weeks and it would up our salary, we're going to do that. And that's one of the things he's doing. It just, fandom, I get, is personal. So you take things personal, but if it affects your philosophy and makes what you're saying look wrong, I think then you go after people a little bit harder.
Let me respond to what Jesse just said. Here's another way to look at the issue. Money doesn't buy happiness. And when you play a team sport, you should put the team first. You can make $10 million and then have a career-ending injury. So morally, was your decision worth letting your team and coaching staff down? Just a thought. For $10 million, every one of y'all can kiss every bit of it. All right? Money don't buy happiness. I don't disagree with. You know what money does buy? A bunch of stuff that'll make me happy. Now, there are some people, that's a joke. Relax, calm down.
No,
I understand.
I have no friends. If I had $10 million, I'd have a bunch. I'm just saying. I mean, friends will suddenly come out of the woodwork.
Sure.
Hey, Lonzo, remember me?
Look, I am not trying to say that I'm going to beat the old philosophical money can't buy happiness, so put the team first, right? Listen, I understand that. I can tell you I'm a happy person. You know what would make me happier? A boatload of money. Right? I don't work because it's fun. I mean, it is fun, but I don't work because it's fun. I work because they pay me to have fun, which is pretty nice, right? But as James just said, $10 million, kiss my grits, teammates. Look, if I'm Miles Murphy, I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to the bowl game. I'm on the sideline. I'm helping however I can. I'm pouring Gatorade if I can, right? I'm fixing equipment if I can. I'm standing there and I'm talking to the defensive ends and going, if this happens, this is what I would do. This is how I would handle that blocking scheme. If you get this assignment, go this way. If you get this stun, this guard is doing this on tendency, so do me a wraparound here, right? But am I risking my paycheck with the NFL so that you can what? Feel good about your Orange Bowl victory as a fan? No, dude. I will take my mill. I'll donate a mill back to Clemson as a thanks for getting me here, and then I'm out. All right, Texter says, Rob, couldn't have said it any better. Players should not be shamed into playing an irrelevant bowl game if they're making a personal business decision. If the choice is there, who are we to criticize them? I brought this up the other day, and Mark blasted me. Again, because, and again, I guess this is, I'll tread lightly. No, I won't. I'll say what I need to say. Some of y'all take this personally because your passion for Clemson or Carolina or whatever, your passion, your undying loyalty, which is commendable and respectable, you project it onto other people. I feel this way, therefore everyone should feel this way. I love this thing, therefore everyone should like this thing. Or I hate this thing, therefore everyone. It would be like if you didn't like a TV show and then you went out in public every day and you were like, hey, that TV show's dumb and you should feel dumb for watching it. I think The Big Bang Theory is the dumbest sitcom of all time. You know what I don't do? Go around telling everybody they should stop watching it because of, hey, if you enjoy it, enjoy it. It's not for me, right? That is what I talk about when I say people scramble to the top of Mount High Horse. All right, we got a lot of text on this. Keep them coming. 71307. Start your text with fan. I got a bunch of these. I'll read them when I come back. I did not intend to spend another day on this, but that's the show. You guys drive, I respond. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Lights.
Be right back, guys. Stay right there.
Care simply, conveniently.
All right, we back, y'all. Thanks for hanging out. Attack life like the passion of the guy who loves to tell you wrestling's fake.
Where you receive care makes all the difference. Choose the best and partner with Atrium Health. Learn more at atriumhealth.org/clearchoice.
Eddie Pinheiro made 3 field goals in the Panthers' 30-24 win over Seattle, which earned him NFC Special Teams Player of the Week for the second time in his career.
The snap, the hold, the kick, it's up, and it's good! Eddie Pinheiro pumps his fist, high fives Hecker.
Since missing a key extra point and field goal against the Falcons in Week 8, the Panthers kicker has made 11 straight field goals.
Jansen snap, Hecker puts it down, Pinheiro's kick is up, and good. Eddie Pinheiro hits from 47 yards.
Interim head coach Steve Wilkes and the team rallied around Pinheiro after that loss in Atlanta, when questions swirled about his job security.
As I mentioned, during that time, we had no thought about bringing in a kicker. Total confidence in Eddie. We wanted to make sure that we gave him the support that he needed. We put our arms around him. As you can see from that point on, he's been pretty much consistent in the things that we asked him to do. So I'm proud of the way he's bounced back. And like with Eddie and everybody else in that locker room, that's what we're looking for, consistency.
I'm Kristen Balboni on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network, presented by Morris James.
By the way, they're having the Tomlin Wilkes argument in Charlotte. Noticed a couple of tweets from the Charlotte station. So definitely relevant being talked about.
I mean, there are some conversations that I had or that are had that I listen to them, and I will say out loud to myself, y'all are having this conversation just to have something to talk about. Like, I think part of the reason we bounce around all over the place is because I don't want to have a conversation that makes no sense just for the sake of having something to talk about. I'd rather have conversations that actually impact what's happening. But then again, maybe that's why I'm a nobody.
Keep that confidence, kid.
And access to product specialists ready to help. Call clickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it.
If you're like me, you're busy and on a budget. Do you remember a $10 lunch that wasn't a drive-thru? Well, the Warehouse in Midtown is your spot. Every Monday through Friday, 11 to 3, you pick from the $10 menu with items like Philly cheesesteaks, pizzas, French dip paninis, chicken finger plates, salads, and more. And all come with house-made chips and a drink. It's a food hall with a huge selection of foods and a tap house with 26 taps and TVs galore for all your sports watching needs. The Warehouse at Midtown, 1418 Lawrence Road in Greenville.
Get locked into You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM. With Nick Costos and Ken Barkley on the BetQL Network.
I don't think it's Tampa, but I may be going down with the pirate ship.
But yeah, I mean, this might be a sinking pirate ship. I mean, what are you going to pick? The Niners? They're not even players left. You can pick the Packers. Desperately need to trade for a wide receiver, and one just went to Arizona. Maybe the other one will go to Green Bay.
You Better You Bet, 3 to 7 p.m. Eastern from the BetQL.
I had to stop playing that game last night because my blood pressure was up. Because I got to this a second boss and I can't beat it. There's a bunch of stinking electrified plates, and you can't walk in between them. I can't jump. If I jump, then the one I jump onto gets electrified. It's annoying. But I stepped away last time, was able to come back and beat that first boss. So there's nothing worse than having to put a game away or change difficulty to the lowest difficulty, or
get by one
or
moment.
ask your son to come up and beat, this one boss for you so you can continue the game. It's even worse when you ask your son to come up and get past something for you, and he goes, "I've never played it before," and then does it the first time. This doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while.
Search the Fan Upstate.
More than the scores. Real sports talk for real.
I really want to talk about this Christmas music, but you guys have some incredibly hot takes on this topic today. Let's get to a couple of them. Texter says, hey, Rob, it always amazes me how some of these same people that want to stress that athletes are students don't want to give athletes the same rights that other students have. If the, I don't know, trombone player decides to transfer and skip the bowl game, nobody's going to accuse them of not being a team player. If the chemistry major decides to transfer out, nobody's going to accuse them of not being loyal to the school. But an athlete decides to do something that they think is in their best interest, and the woodwork gives way. And don't talk to me about scholarships either. They could all be on scholarship. The trombone player, the chemistry major, and the athlete. That's just hypocrisy, man. Yeah, look. It comes down to this. The people who, for whatever reason, loudly and repeatedly chastise these players for electing to do what's best for them are basically saying, it's not what's best for me, and therefore I'm upset about it. That person is doing something that is counter to my interest, counter to what I want, and it's not good for me, so therefore they shouldn't be allowed to do it? I don't know, man. It's like I said, apply some of these thoughts to any other situation. And you're right. But I would take it one step further. Apply it to any other situation. I gave y'all the example earlier this week. The company that we use as an exterminator company at our place had a dude that came to the house for a long time. And then he went to a different exterminator company in another city. You know what I didn't do? Accuse him of disloyalty. I went, well, good for him for taking a step up. Guess I got to find a new guy. Texter says, JT and Greer, the game isn't irrelevant to the two universities. They make millions on these games. Sure they do. Are you willing to give some of that to the players that play the game that makes them millions? If the answer is no, then I don't care, right? Clemson and Tennessee, Notre Dame, South Carolina, they're going to make millions off the bowl game. That's awesome. Are they going to fork over a percentage of it to the players? Because if the answer is no, then I don't care, right? I don't care. I go fill in on Lonzo's Saturday night show every now and then, right? Do I get any money from that? No, I do it because I like Lonzo, and if I can help out by being a jackass for a couple of hours, then I'm going to do it because it's fun and I get that out of it. But if Lonzo was to ask me and I was to go, hey, Zoe, appreciate the offer, but I can't be on your show. They're not paying me. Lonzo might be disappointed. Would he be? He may even be mad at me.
No, I wouldn't.
Right. But does that make me disloyal to Lonzo?
You're not going to use that for a reason to no show tomorrow, right?
No.
Because I'm kind of. By the way, tune in tomorrow night.
This is the only game
because they got like $10 or something.
Yeah.
And I could start a pool.
JT and Greers also says, why play any game after you have a loss or two? Aren't they all irrelevant? I'll tell you right now, if I was going into my, let's say, junior year as a first-round projected draft pick, and we lost a couple of hours out of the playoffs, and I decided to bail, I would not be mad at me for it.
Here's the reason why they're not irrelevant, because even the lowest player on a college football team still has the dream of going to the NFL. And every game you play is more film you can put out there to meet or get towards that goal.
Correct.
So, so you're still playing because you want to go to the next level.
Even if you're a second-round guy, right? Now I'm playing to see how high up on the draft board I can get to make more money. It is worth it. The list of guys that y'all are upset about is very, very short, right? It's very, very short. Now, JT and Greer, let's say if they get to week 4 and a team lost 2 and a kid says, hey, I'm out, I'm not playing anymore, yank the scholarship. I got no problem with that, right? He made an adult decision that he's not going to participate on the team anymore, yank the scholarship. All right, dude, well, you're paying your way the rest of the way. I got no problem with that either. I think y'all think that I'm like, kids should be allowed to do whatever they want, consequence free. I'm not. But this kid, Miles Murphy, like, he has fulfilled his obligation. He played a full season. The bowl game is an exhibition game that holds no intrinsic value other than, hooray, I like my team. He has fulfilled his 1-year scholarship obligation.
Is such a big deal being made about this just because he went to Clemson?
No, this is happening at a handful of schools. Tennessee's got Jalen Hyatt that bailed out as well. And I got no doubt. I
haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, Jalen Hyatt.
All I've heard about is the Clemson guy.
Right. Well, I mean, obviously around here.
I get where we are and everything, but why is that more important than any other school? Why aren't the other names being mentioned?
I suspect if you go to, if you go check what's trending in Knoxville, Tennessee, you're not going to see Miles Murphy. You're going to see Jalen Hyatt.
No. I find it hard to believe that there are college-only guys in other markets. That does not exist.
Texter says, Rob, who teaches their kids to only do what's best for them? It's like everything we do for our own kids. You encourage other kids to do the opposite. All right. See, now you're getting carried away. Okay. Being a good teammate, being selfless, unselfish, all of these things, being loyal, these are all important things, right?
Has anyone asked his teammates if they're upset about it?
Hilariously, no.
Those would be the most effective, not the fans.
By the way, have you
because
noticed-
the fans, it's not about the fans, even though the fans think it is. It's about the other players on the team. I would like someone to go ask those players on the team and ask them if they're upset that he's foregoing the bowl game to go to the NFL.
I have not heard a Dabo or a Shane say anything yet other than that guy's going to be really good at the next level, and we wish him the best, right? Texas said, imagine Miles Murphy as your son. Would you not think turning pro is best for him? I try to take that perspective. Yeah, same, right? Again, I want
especially if he promised to buy me a house. Let's go.
Yeah. I want any one of you to put yourself in the shoes and tell me you don't make the same decision. And being honest with me, right? All right, man, you can go guarantee yourself. And look, Miles Murphy could tear his ACL running practice drills too, but it's less likely, right? It's less likely. I want any of you. This is one of those things that it's very easy to prop up the ideology of the situation, to prop up the virtues of the situation, loyalty, respect, yada, 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 when it's not your name on the check. Really easy when it's not your name on the check. Let's see. Texter says, one day when and if you have kids, I'm interested to see if you let them upset your entire apple cart by giving into their complaints, or if you realize that they don't comprehend nearly as many ramifications of their choices as you do, and what the adult thinks carries more weight, because that is what has been done with the NIL and the portal. Let me say this. I know who this texter is, by the way. Texter, I got your number, and I'm saying that because I have a question that I'm going to ask you over a beer to answer. If you want to take away the choice of an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid to change schools, are you ready to up the enlistment age of the United States military to graduation? Because if you are not willing to demand that the enlistment age of the United States Armed Forces be elevated to 4 years after you graduate high school or 21, then why is this the place that you have battened down the hatches, right? Why is this the place that all of a sudden it's these kids are too dumb to understand what they're doing, right? They don't understand the consequences. They don't understand that we're smarter than them. That's fine if that's your take. But if that's your take, are you ready to up enlistment age for the armed forces to whatever age you think is appropriate for the transfer portal and NIL? Think about that, and we'll talk about it over a beer, texter. But sincerely, right? Like, I've never heard you or anybody else say an 18-year-old is not smart enough to make the decision to join the United States Armed Forces, but I've heard a lot of people saying they're too dumb to understand the transfer portal. They're kids. Really? We got to pick one or the other, right? Either they're all smart enough to get it, and the portal and NIL are fine, or they're not smart enough to get it, and we should not be recruiting kids to the military out of high school. What's your stance on that one? We'll talk about it. Also, as Joseph said in the chat, life hack, you don't have to teach your kids anything if you don't have any. All right, let's see. We got a couple more real quick. Thomas from the warehouse at Midtown writes in. He said, I fully support opening a bar in the Bahamas. Thomas, you open it, I'll run it. There's my deal. Let's go to the chat. Let's go to the live stream.
Do you have any experience at running a bar, Rob?
I mean, I bartended for a couple of years. I feel like that's pretty good, right?
All right.
And then, you know what I did? You know what I did after that? I left that job to go back into radio, like a transfer, because there was a better opportunity for me down the line. And so this guy,
also known as someone who doesn't care a bit about money, I'm going back into radio.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Here's a couple of texts from the live stream. Rob, the exterminator's integrity or character aren't under the nation's spotlight to get judgment from millions. You're missing the point, Kevin. The point is, if that was your exterminator, you would not question his loyalty or dedication. So why are you doing it for college players?
You think exterminators to stars like Beverly Hills type things, you think they make a lot more money than other exterminators? Because I would think they probably do.
I think so, right?
So they could be under the spotlight. If Brad Pitt tells, I don't know, George Clooney or somebody, hey, my exterminator is pretty good, but he's a little costly. Could be.
Let's see here. Joseph says the number one team in team sport you should be playing for is your own situation and family. Nobody's going to take care of them for you. I agree with that. Another texter said, I lost the comment, but it said something along the lines of, we just found out that Miles Murphy wouldn't save his mom from a burning building if it would pay him more to do it. All right, that's a bad take.
No, they were talking about OBJ.
Oh.
They were talking about OBJ, so don't put that.
Okay.
I believe, yeah. I'm pretty sure that was an OBJ comment.
Either way, I think he's just fine.
But he compared him to OBJ, if I recall.
Texas said college football players are now employees. I have no problem with them making a business decision since they are employees now. Well, speak of the devil, there's actually an update on that. Lonzo may prove prophetic. I'll tell you why when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Did he say pathetic? Hey man, I just thought about that. I'm guessing if you're an exterminator and you work somewhere where you're constantly going to big star homes, you're not making as much as, you're making more than the guy who works in Pickens. Just saying. There might even be some high class exterminators out of there. They have to be properly vetted because they're allowed into certain places that, and may see things that, us, the regular people, shouldn't see. Not a good edit, dude. I don't know. Last night. No, I didn't cut it. Are you ready?
So oddly enough, for a team that played.
So I watched the Vince McMahon thing yesterday afternoon. Man, that was rough. I told you there was a documentary on Vice about it.
Oh yeah.
You should watch it. It's
always called like the 9 Lives of Vince McMahon.
Yeah, it's interesting. Lisa kept going, hey, and I'm like, stop talking, because I'll have to rewind back. Just listen. Like, I'm hearing this stuff for the first time, too. I want to hear it.
Here's a holiday gift from Bed Bath & Beyond. Between now and Christmas, get 25% off your entire purchase by texting JOY to 239663. That's 239663. New offers every day.
So Zach Wilson, according to Adam Schefter, is starting this week because Mike White is not cleared. So
yeah, because Mike White got cut in half as a person.
Yeah, he did.
capabilities for their website, they turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The results? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, an increase in organic search visibility, and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com.
All right. I don't know if I can find it, Mark. And if I do, I don't know how I can send it.
Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's at AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world. Turning to the best in the business for websites, go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7 with supplies and solutions for every industry and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You might not have the biggest garage on the block, but with eBay Motors, there's 122 million parts right at your fingertips. Whatever you need, there's something that fits your vehicle. Air filters, tires, seat covers, and more. Get the right parts at the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, The Fan.
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live from the Philadelphia
CBS Sports Radio.
Always streaming wherever you are on the internet.
JT and Greer says, Rob, the situation is more like if Lonzo gets a better job and walks away mid-show. I'm going to tell you straight up right now. I don't care if we're in the middle of sweeps season. Okay? Ratings book season. The season that determines, that's like the hipster way of saying it, that determines if Rob gets a raise the next time contract talks roll around. If Lonzo comes up to me after a show and goes, hey, man, I got a gig that's better for me, better for my family, presents more opportunity and pays more, and I got to take it, and it starts tomorrow, I will be bummed to see Zoe go. I would be disappointed. I would be heartbroken. I would change everything about the show. But do you think I'm going to go, you are disloyal. You are not committed. You are making the wrong decision. Hell no. I'm going to pat Lonzo on the back because I know he hates hugs. I'm going to wish him the best, ask him what I can help, tell him if he needs anything, I got his back, and send him on his way to a better opportunity.
Well, thank you for being consistent, which I expected you to be, but it's a far-fetched scenario of finishing up my 23rd year. If I was sought after and someone wanted me, they would have already made me offers by now, I think.
Texture says, as a fan of college football, I'm disappointed when a key member of my favorite team opts out of a bowl game, but I completely understand that it's the player's choice to do what they think what is best for them in their future.
You know what? If you worry about the kids so much, you should be excited for the next guy up, getting an opportunity to get some bowl experience. Yeah. That's awesome because they're going to be back in a bowl next year, maybe in it, more than likely an important one. So that kid who didn't get to play is now going to get to step up and play under the really big lights.
Here is one last take, and then we'll put this to bed because I don't want to spend the whole show on this. I could, but I don't want to.
It's okay. We started out with some NFL, so we've balanced things.
We
hit our quota.
All right. Jesse popped up in the live stream. Jesse says, I think the root of the problem is that what we are watching, what makes college football fun to watch, passion for a school, passion for culture, passion to play for the logo on your helmet, etc., slowly dying before our eyes. It's all about money now, and that's disappointing to see for passionate college football fans. Just my opinion, though. Just to be clear, my point of view is not a monetary one. It's an ethical one. Okay. College football has always been a financially driven business. Oh, it has always been that way. If you want to go back to like the 1920s and 30s.
I was gonna say maybe when it first started, when it was just like an after-school activity.
Yeah.
Before someone said, you know what, we could charge people to watch.
But when you started building 70, 80, 90, 100,000 seat stadiums and you started putting it on TV, college money has always been financially driven. This is not new. It's just that now that the players are in on it, it's impacting you more, right? Did it impact you all that much? Did it impact you all that much when we switched from the AP Top 25 champion being declared national champion to the BCS? No. What happened? Y'all got excited, right? This is better for the game. Do you know why that decision got made? It didn't get made because it's better for the game. It got made because more people got money. Your money. Did y'all get excited when some of y'all didn't, but most of us got excited when we went from a BCS 2-team win to a 4-team playoff? Do you think they made that decision because it was better for the game? No. They'll dress it up like it's better for the game, but they did it because more games means more money, means more people get some money, right? And this is what I've been saying from the beginning. The only reason this is a conversation is because for whatever reason, y'all are unhappy these kids get played. Well, if they're getting paid, then it's not about loyalty anymore. My guy, if you want your school to have players that are loyal to it, your school better earn loyalty. Is there a single situation in your life where loyalty was just given away for free as opposed to earned? Probably not. So why is it different here? Stop scrambling to plant your flag on top of Mount Sanctimonious and just recognize that these kids are doing the same thing that everybody else does in making decisions that are best for them and their families. It'll make it much easier to digest. When we come back, we do have some NFL talk, divisional races. A couple of them could be decided this weekend. Not officially, but some teams could really lose the momentum. And bowl games. We got to get into some of those next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Isn't there like a bowl game on today? Or is that next week?
All you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who posted.
Actually, I thought there was like one at 11:30. I'm looking it up.
First day, ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter.
I'm sure the bowl game advocates could tell me right away.
ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
The Upstate Holiday Light Show at Greenville Pickens Speedway is a Christmas family tradition. Millions of incredible lights, carnival rides, petting zoo, rain or shine, 7 days a week, now through December 31st. UpstateLights.com. UpstateLights.com.
Gary David with Travis Benson, owner of CN.
Could have swore there was more than one.
Travis, let's say I have a foundation problem. What's next?
Gary, it depends on who you call.
Yeah, there's one at 11:30.
It could be months before they get to you. At CNT Foundations,
Miami, Ohio. Miami of Ohio versus UAB at 11:30. Then UTSA, whatever that is. I don't know. What is UTSA versus Troy?
Reputation Defender by Norton is one of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. We have over a decade of experience in fixing people's search results, and we can help you too. Using cutting-edge approaches.
UTSA is the reverse? Yeah. What's UTSA? I don't know what it is. I could look it up, but I wonder if Rob knows what it is. University of Texas, San Antonio? That's a guess.
Visit www.reputationdefender.com or call 800-831-0771 for free advice on your situation. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. The Rob Brown Show, now 19.
Legendary Arn Anderson joining us here on the Rob Brown Show. When you get the opportunity,
I looked at the letters and I just thought, yay me. I feel accomplished for the day. So there are 2 bowl games today, including Miami of Ohio versus UAB at 11:30.
Yeah, baby.
And then number 25 UTSA versus number 24 Troy. And I didn't know what UTSA was, and then I worked.
San Antonio?
Yeah, see, he wasn't sure either, but he worked it out too. So
That's the only thing I could think of.
yeah, I also had the question. I wonder if those college guys knew there were bowl games today. Surprised they're even doing a show. Can't do a show today. There's ball games on.
Sunday afternoon at 4. The NFL plays here on the Fan Upstate. Mark Ryan tells it like it is. Phil Mickelson said, quote, the PGA Tour for the last 20 or 30 years have had all the best players in the world. That'll never be the case again. Live Golf is here to stay. That's interesting, isn't it? Its stay in our consciousness is dependent upon all of us allowing that. Well, Phil, I don't care who you are, and I don't care how much unlimited finances and resources the Saudi royal family has. They would pull the plug on that operation if nobody covered it and nobody talked about it. There's a very, very clear way to make Phil Mickelson wrong, and that is for the media to just stop covering it.
Number 1 for real afternoon sports talk.
Offsides with Mark Ryan.
3 to 7 on the Fan.
Upstate.
So I'm just 5 chapters in a row or climbing Mount High Horse. I'm gonna see if I get in trouble for that. I don't know. I might. Maybe they'll, assign me a creative writing class so I can learn how to rephrase, when we're continuing to talk about a hot topic. Harley in the first break.
10-4. The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo, is on the other side of the glass today, metaphorically speaking. If you'd like to be a part of the show, the phone lines are open for you at 844-FAN-PHONE, F-O-N-E, 844-326-3663, 844-326-3663. You can also text us on the radio broadcast. 71307 is the text-in number on the Preferred Home Services text line. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we shall read them on the air. Let's get to this. Bowl games, according to some of y'all, matter so much, right? They're important. They have value. There's 2 today. Name me a team playing. Quick. 5, 4, 3, 2-1. That's what I thought. There are bowl games happening today. You don't know who's in them. You know why? Because you don't care. Listen, I guarantee you, Lonzo, there is probably 1% of our audience that will watch more bowl games than me, right? I get out of this studio today. I'll go cut our weekend promos. I'll go into the office where I have 3 computer monitors. 2 of them will be used to work. The other one will be watching bowl games. Over the weekend, I will watch bowl games. Next week, when y'all are at your job, I will be at mine, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and I will be watching bowl games. Then I'm off for 12 straight days. All of them will involve a bowl game.
By the way, don't leave, during those 12 days. Come back because we'll be back.
Yeah. I got a red jacket to work for.
I'll be off a bunch of those too, but we'll still be coming back in the new year.
Yeah. Point is, the bowl games matter to me. All right? In that they're entertainment. They're entertainment. There's something to do. It's Tuesday at 3 p.m. and there's a bowl game on. Yeah, I'm watching it because my life's awesome. All right? But, like I said, by the way, I asked you 2 minutes ago to name me what teams are playing today in the bowl game. I bet you a fraction of y'all were able to do it. It's been 2 minutes. Name me a team that's playing in the bowl game today. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Anybody? Bueller? No? Didn't think so. Do you know why? Because even after I told you there were 2 bowl games today, you still don't care. You didn't even want to go look it up and see who was playing today. Lonzo looked it up for the break. Other than UTSA, and we only remember them because Lonzo and I had to remember that UTSA is University of Texas San Antonio. Lonzo, who else is playing in the bowl games today? Top of your head, don't look. Do you remember?
Troy, because of Helen of Troy.
Sure.
That's why I remember Troy. Miami of Ohio, because they recruited me. So I remember.
Okay, you got connections.
So I have some connections, but there's a 4th team. And now I got to try to UAB.
There you go. What are the bowls?
That I don't know.
There you go. There you go. Keep in mind, with all due respect, I don't know either. Right? I just know I'll be watching them when they come on. But I don't know what bowls are today. Lonzo and I literally get paid to care, watch, and talk about these things. Right? All right. I said I wasn't going to do that anymore. I won't. While we're on the topic of gross people doing gross things, let's go with this. According to Mississippi State insider Steve Robertson, apparently there are already college football coaches going through third parties to try and recruit Mississippi State players into and through the transfer portal. Mike Leach died 4 days ago, 3.5 days ago. And according to a couple of sources, including Steve Robertson, there are already coaches that have reached out to Mississippi State players trying to entice them out of Mike Leach's program and into the transfer portal. Ladies and gentlemen, your favorite sport is financially driven at its core, and it always has been. This isn't new. It is just that you guys look at the sport with the same sense of fandom that you look at your individual team, right? Because you look, and I think we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. I have had a couple of times that the ownership of the New Orleans Saints over the years have done something that I have considered disgusting, despicable. And I had to make decisions about whether or not I was going to stay involved. The run-up to the World Cup in Qatar this year was filled with corruption, greed, disgusting acts, damn near slavery, if not actual slavery, right? Disgusting stuff. And I had to make a decision about whether or not I was going to watch the World Cup. We all tend to, when we really like a thing that's involved in a larger entity, we all like to attribute the positives that we get out of rooting for a part of that to the whole. If you're a Clemson fan, if you are a South Carolina fan, a Florida fan, a Georgia fan, if you're a college football fan, you've got a favorite team that you ride with. You have a lot, obviously, of positive thoughts, vibes, connections connected to that, right? What is the reason that I have found it so hard to walk away from the New Orleans Saints despite ownership over the years doing some pretty egregious things? Primarily, it has been the fact that I have got so many good, positive emotions, memories, vibes all wrapped up with that team, right? I don't think about Rita LeBlanc Benson, the owner of the Saints, when I hear Saints. You know what I think about? About celebrating winning the Super Bowl with my dad before he passed. I think about taking family members and friends to their first Saints game and watching them fall in love with it. I think about tailgating with my cousins at the Superdome and knocking back some Abita brewskis in the parking lot before we go in. I think about laying on the floor in a dirty-ass bar in the 2009 NFC Championship game, asking whatever spirits or entities might be involved in a football game to give us a shot at our first Super Bowl, right? Those are all positive memories. And so when the ownership of a team does something gross, it's got to be pretty damn deplorable to get to a point where the negative feelings of that overweigh all of these positive memories. If you're a Clemson fan and you're thinking about tailgating on the world's hilliest campus with your friends and fam and then going into Death Valley and hearing the roar when the team rips down the hill after touching the rock, the negatives of the NCAA being a money-driven, profit-oriented organization and some pretty terrible decisions coming out of that over the years don't outweigh the positive feelings. But in order to justify them, I think, some of us then try to pretend like those problems don't exist. We try to ignore those things. Now that the players are getting their cut, and some of y'all are upset about that, the rest of the organization is starting to come into the fold, and it's like, oh, there's this too. All right, let me get away from that. I was like, let me not talk about this anymore, and then talked about it for 7 more minutes.
That's why I'm not adding to it, hoping that you'll, because I really had questions about you laying on the floor in the bar, but, I just let that go.
Fire away. It was Shalimar cheers. We needed a 43-yard field goal to beat Brett Favre.
So what in your mind made you think if I lay on this dirty bar floor, we got a shot at
sports?
Or did someone shove you down, or did you trip?
No,
or
I went when they lined up to that kick. I dropped to both knees and hands in the middle of the bar because I didn't know what I was physically incapable of doing anything else. I was a ball of nerves. I needed to brace myself, and that was the way to do it. And then when the kick went up in the air, Lonzo, I just rolled over come on. And then when it went through, everything got very fuzzy and blurry after that for about a day and a half. So.
Did someone accidentally kick you in the head?
No, I drank a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I drank a lot. All right. Speaking of the NFL, remember Was it yesterday? Or
Yeah,
the
it's
day
something
before?
we used to do, Rob, but now we've been talking college football.
Well, look, we're college football guys here on the show, right? We're college football guys. Remember a couple of days ago when I gave you guys the story that I absolutely love when athletes or coaches use science to be better at the game, right? Bryson DeChambeau. It's like, all right, let me do some algebra every time I hit the ball to see if I can find out how to get that extra 3 or 4 yards a roll. Might make the difference. I love when athletes use science to be better at the game. And I told you the story about the Las Vegas Raiders and how they had figured out that if you took the football on a kickoff and you put it inside of the tee, it would go so far. But if you took that ball and you set it on the rim of the tee and you had another player hold it and you kicked it, the Raiders figured out they could get an extra quarter of a second to half second-ish of hang time on the football, which gave their coverage team an extra, 7-8 yards down the field to get into their lanes, to get into their coverages, and they were able to successfully stop the kickoff return from getting past the 25 more often than not, which is where touchbacks come out to, right? So the ball went the same distance, but you got more hang time on it. Well, the Raiders answer the question as to why this week. They said the NFL was asked specifically, are we allowed to do this? And the NFL said yes. And then yesterday, Zoe, the NFL went, never mind. Can't do that anymore. They have mandated from now on that the football must sit inside of the tee, not be held on the rim, and that ball holders may only be utilized in windy conditions if the ball gets blown off of the tee. Can't voluntarily have a holder anymore, and the ball must be inside the tee. I'm not mad about it.
So wait, they can change or clarify rules in the middle of the season?
Sure
I
can.
thought they had to wait till, they had discussions with the players union and all that kind of stuff before they could, do something and referees and
The kickoff rule has entered the transfer portal.
okay. All right. That's interesting.
They have clarified that kickers must put the ball inside the tee, and that a holder can only be used if conditions call for it.
Is the fact that this suddenly became a story the reason why they're changing it?
No, I'll tell you the reason they're changing it. The reason they're changing it is because by doing that, as we talked about, it allows them to create a condition where a touchback becomes less likely and a return becomes more violent, right? Because the kickoff returner has defenders 6, 7, 8 yards closer to him when he catches the ball. There is less open field to open up to. And therefore the kickoff returner is more likely to get hit and be hit quicker after he catches the ball. The NFL has obviously been trying to eliminate the number of kickoffs returned, right? A lot of people would ask, why would you move the ball out to the 25-yard line? And the answer is because it makes it more likely that a team would prefer a touchback to a return, right? A lot of kickers are going to catch the ball in the end zone and go, I've only got to get to the 20. Anything I gain after that's a bonus. It's worth the gamble. But now you got to get to the 25, which that extra 5 yards at the point where you meet the kickoff return team becomes a little bit more difficult to pick up. And now the number of kickoff returns out of the end zone that reach the 25 are obviously significantly lower than the number of kickoff returns that hit the 20. So this is just the NFL trying to regulate the number of kickoff returns that take place, right? That's it. Nothing else. It's not a punishment for the Raiders. It's not a let's take the fun out of football thing. It's just a kickoffs are statistically speaking, the most violent play in football, right? Because you got guys that get 20, 30, 40-yard running starts and slamming into each other. The NFL's trying to regulate that. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if before the end of you and I talking on the radio.
Thank you for the pause there before the end of you and I, because that could mean a whole lot of things.
Before you and I finishing our radio career,
one of us probably will be done quicker than the other, or
we'll see. The NFL does away with kickoffs, right? There won't be kickoffs anymore. Just
they've been working their way towards it with,
yeah.
With CTE and all that. Worries for that.
Yeah. I suspect. Sorry to mean to interrupt. I'm rude.
No, that was me trying to phrase it in a way that sounded like actual language.
By the time I get done with radio, the NFL will stop kickoffs and basically will come up with a system where after a touchdown, the ball will be placed for the opposing team at the 25-yard line. And if a team was going to try an onside kick, the ball will be placed at their 40-yard line with a 4th and 15 situation, right? Where if you are unsuccessful at the 4th and 15, the other team will get the ball wherever the ball is turned over on downs. So if you throw a pass and it's incomplete, they get the ball at your 40-yard line. That way, the onside kick, the keep the ball potential is still there, but not in a way that, creates a disadvantage for the returning team.
So you're saying like 40 years from now, a grandpa is talking to his grandson and talks about a thing called a kicker. There used to be things called kickers.
There'll still be kickers because I don't think field goals are going anywhere.
Okay.
But he will definitely say there used to be a thing called a kickoff. We used to kick off the game. It didn't just start with the winner of the coin flip decided if they wanted to play offense or defense first. But we'll see. That is my suspicion. But we'll find out. All right, let's do this. Let's run to a break. When we come back, let's take a look at some of the upcoming sporting events of the weekend. We got the World Cup third place game tomorrow. We've got the World Cup final on Sunday. We've got bowl games. By the way, if you haven't caught up with them yet, the 2 bowl games going on today are the Care Bowl and the Bahamas Bowl today. While we're there, quick question. I asked you this 10 minutes ago now. 4 teams that are playing. Name them for me. We've already done it. We did it on the air. Name me the teams that are playing. You can't do it. Still, you don't care. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, got a live read, and we will be right back after this. Don't go anywhere. All right, we're back, amigos. Thank you all for hanging out with us.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you've seen the breaks. If your business has 5 or more employees since COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge
I've realized even when I don't think about it, geometry is part of my life.
Outstanding organization.
I didn't do it on purpose.
Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
Are boomers more cringy than millennials? Is Gen Z more woke than Gen
Rob Brown Show, what do you want to talk about?
Any hope of bridging our generational divides? Odyssey's new podcast, It's Generational, brings together actual people from these 4 generations for real conversations about today's issues. I'm Lauren Berry, and I'm inviting you to generation to up stereotypes in the trash and really understand each other.
I think these conversations just foretell such a better, richer emotional vocabulary for talking about these things.
Listen on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
It's happening. What's happening?
Oh, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Talk to this guy for a second.
Who's this?
Wants to know if you want a personal trainer.
This is Rob.
Sponsored by Taco Bell. The rumors are true. Nacho fries are back at Taco Bell for a limited time. So if you've been craving those golden fries with their Mexican spices and that warm nacho cheese sauce you dip them in, go to Taco Bell and order some today. Contact store for participation, which varies.
Mark Ryan tells it like it is. Coming up on a Friday episode of Offsides with Mark Ryan and Diesel. In the holiday spirit, we spent enough time going over what's wrong with college football. We'll talk about
Man, I appreciate it. Do me a favor if you don't mind. Can you pop me an email to rob.brown@thefanupstate.com? Because I'd absolutely talk to you more about it if you don't mind. thefanupstate.com, the name of the station. Yes, sir. Rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. Yeah, please do that if you don't mind. I'll get back in touch with you because, yeah, I'd love to talk to you about it. Killer, buddy. Thank you, man. I found something yesterday that kind of intrigued me a little bit, and I wanted to ask if it makes you guys more interested. Lonzo, who's winning the national championship this year from an unbiased perspective? Who's the best team in the Final Four?
I can't give you an unbiased.
Who's the best team in the Final Four?
Georgia's going to win.
Okay.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Ohio State's going to win. I can't help it.
Georgia's the. Listen, I'm not saying Georgia.
It's going to be an all Big Ten final. Ohio State versus Michigan, and Ohio State's going to avenge that loss. That's what's going to happen.
I'm not saying
It,
that
it could happen. Michigan is going to be in the final because TCU does not belong. So I can tell you what team does not belong. It's TCU.
We'll find out. I still think people are sleeping on TCU a little bit, but we'll find out.
They're sleeping on them because they don't belong there.
We'll see. That's what sleeping on them means. So we'll see.
Does it? I don't know.
Here's a stat that came across my screen the other day. We have talked about, or at least I have talked about, the dominance of the Georgia Bulldogs, right? With the exception of the Missouri game, and every championship team has one, with the exception of the Missouri game, the Georgia Bulldogs were, to me, very clearly, wire to wire, the best football team all season long. I think there were a couple of weeks where it looked like Tennessee might be able to rip that title from them, but ultimately, when you look at the end of the regular season, Georgia was the best team, reel to reel, in college football. But Dave Bartu is a college football analyst, put up a very interesting statistic yesterday, and I wonder if it decreases the confidence for anybody in the Georgia Bulldogs. And this is from somebody who has already said, yes, Georgia's winning the title. They're the best team in football. Average scoring efficiency of all common opponents across an entire schedule at the end of the year, the average scoring efficiency that Georgia faced from offenses on the other side of the football, Lonzo, was ranked number 87 in the country. The average defensive scoring efficiency that they faced was ranked number 73. So if you go composite schedule, by the way, Georgia finished with the number 5 ranked scoring efficiency on offense and the number 2 ranked scoring defensive efficiency. They played against the ranked number 87 and the ranked number 73. That's average, right? It doesn't take it's the average. The number 1 average scoring efficiency offense in college football, Lonzo, the number 1 scoring efficiency offense is the Ohio State Buckeyes. Georgia's number 5. The number 8 ranked defensive scoring efficiency team in college football is Ohio State. Georgia's number 2. Georgia had the 5th ranked offense when it comes to scoring efficiency. That is capitalizing on scoring opportunities. And the number 2 ranked defense's efficiency. That is coming up with a stop when scores are likely. Ohio State, offense number 1, defense number 8. The point that I'm making here, or the intrigue in this stat, I guess I should say to me, Zoe, is that for all the talk about the SEC and how tough it is to play on the way through it and all of that, Georgia's average is pretty middle of the pack. It's actually a little bit on the less than average side. They did beat Tennessee. They did beat LSU. It was before LSU melted down at the end of the year. This is when LSU was playing good football. This Georgia-Ohio State game, I offered up a bet on the air a couple of weeks ago. I said, I will make the bet that the score between TCU and Michigan is closer than the score by which Georgia beats Ohio State. Said, I think TCU will put up more of a fight. I'm picking Michigan and Georgia for the Natty. But I said, I think the score by which Georgia beats Ohio State will be a greater differential than the score by which Michigan beats TCU. And the more I look at it, the more I really kind of kick it around in my head, Zoe, I still think Georgia beats Ohio State. But I've also got to wonder if Georgia, in any way, shape, or form, and the good news for Georgia is they were here last year. So this is not, this is something they now have technically a routine with. They know what they did last year. They know how it worked. And both of their bowl games will be closer to home than their opponents.
Ohio State, I think, has spent more time in the playoff than out of it. So it's
sure.
Yeah.
So they've got their routine as well. But looking at this, I'm kind of wondering if does Georgia get caught up in the same belief that all the rest of us have? Does Georgia get caught up in thinking that, we've been here, we've done this, we're confident, and we're just better, and overlook the most statistically competitive team, or at least a team that is greatly more statistically competitive than the average of their opponents throughout the regular season? Georgia may, possibly, potentially, may have gotten somewhat comfortable in the fact that they were just dominant more often than they weren't against teams that they lined up against. And it will not be that way against Ohio State. The ESPN game prediction analysis gives Georgia a 58.1% chance to win this football game. The line on this game is Georgia minus 6.5. The over-under set at 62.
Are you surprised by that? By either of those things?
No. If you'd have asked me a week ago, before I really started getting into these games, getting prepped to talk about them leading up to them, if you'd have asked me a week ago, Lonzo, my guess would have been Georgia minus 9.5. It's set at 6.5. That line doesn't shock me because I think a lot of people are looking at an 8-1 Ohio State team and going, yeah, they lost, but the only team they lost to is also in the playoffs. Yeah, they lost, but this is also, again, statistically speaking, the overall most competitive team that Georgia has played all year, obviously. And they're doing so out of routine, out of rhythm. I don't know. The more I look at this game, the more I break this game down, the more I think about this game, the more I think maybe it's going to be a little bit closer than I would have given it credit for being. I think that it's going to be interesting to see how the tight end heavy attack of Georgia is approached by Ohio State. I frankly think that Brock Bowers could end up having himself a whale of a football game here. Ohio State, and stop me when I'm wrong, Lonzo, Ohio State is a team that has defensively for years relied on their defensive backs to create coverage sacks and not necessarily on their linebacking crew, which does open you up against the tight end heavy offense for a lot of dink and dunk down the middle. And Brock Bowers does that better than any other tight end in college football. I think that is the big thing. That's the big difference in this football game overall. As far as what Ohio State can do to win this game, Ohio State's offensive line against Georgia's defensive line is the football game, Alonso. If your O-line can say, because Georgia last year too, with Jordan Davis up front, Georgia won the games they won last year by having a dominant defensive line that never lets your offense get into a rhythm. CJ Stroud is the reason Ohio State wins or loses this football game. Your O-line has to give him time against a very good Georgia defensive line, allow him to get into a rhythm, allow him to test Georgia's defensive backs. And if they do, you got a shot. If they don't, if CJ Stroud's in a hurry, as good as he is on the move, if he never gets into a rhythm, that could be problematic.
All I know is that feeling of losing to Michigan, does it, even though it's going to be a few weeks since it happened, is that going to be in the back of all these players' minds, or is the possibility of getting to play them again and get vengeance, is that something that's going to drive them to play a little bit harder, play a little bit better than Georgia? And I think it is going to be a driving force that's going to help them. It is up to CJ Stroud because they can't count on the running game. And it's also going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. Can he be shut down? Because that dude is really, really good.
We'll see. We're going to talk more about those games, obviously, next week as we approach those playoff games. Let me get Rick in here before we run to our last break of the week. Rick, it's all yours, big dog. What you got?
I tell you what, my prediction is Georgia by a lot. Okay.
By a lot.
By 2 touchdowns or better. I just got a feeling. Second of all, Rob, I love your program. Let me tell you, you and Alonzo do a great job. You're the reason I listen to sports radio. I met you at Midtown with the Hackus.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, ever since I met you, I listened to high school. I've never listened to high school football. I listened to high school football, and you did a great job on the Burns broadcast.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
I don't ever listen to high school, but I had to get up at Saturday mornings now and listen to the scramble because I got into high school football because of you. Thanks. But put all your money on Georgia, okay?
By the way, Rick, I do apologize. I cannot afford to pay you for this endorsement, but it is appreciated.
And do me a favor. I know Mark pretty well. Tell Mark he's doing a great job too. It's just I like your show a little bit better. Okay, don't tell him that. Okay,
I won't. You only told everyone listening in the upstate, but we'll keep it a secret between us, buddy.
Okay. Thanks, and keep doing a good job. Okay?
You got it, Rick. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Very kind of you.
Yeah, like I'm leaving that part out of the promo.
Texas says Georgia will whip Ohio. Them Georgia boys definitely eat default hot dogs with mustard, chili, and onion, while them Ohio boys eat plain hot dogs.
Keep in mind, and that's not true. Keep in mind that children are raised here to hate Ohio State, so it would hurt them if they had to pick Ohio State to win any game, because they feel like they'd be going up against their forefathers, against their kin, and they can't do that.
Against their forefathers, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's take a break. Come back. A couple of final thoughts on the week, and then we will have Twitter trending topics, and then we will call it a week. Next week, Lonzo's off next week. No, you're not. It's the week after that you're off. I will be with you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, and then I will see y'all in 2023. If I'm lucky, I guess.
I don't know why he's saying goodbye now. We got another segment.
I just said we're coming back.
I know,
Final thoughts, Twitter.
Sounds...
I'm getting the alerts out of the way. Back after this, Rob Lonzo, it's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Again, the other question is, Joseph, what if Ohio State lost to Michigan in the national championship? Then Ryan Day will have lost to Michigan 3 times in a row, twice in 1 year, and he would be seeking employment elsewhere the following day.
He wouldn't be seeking employment. The employment would be seeking him.
Well, and they should be.
Yeah.
No. I'm not saying that I'm saying that.
He would be hired immediately.
I'm not saying that I'm saying that. I'm just saying that enough people will say it to probably make it happen. That would be the most important game of Ryan Day's entire career. But if they lose to Georgia and they play poorly and Michigan makes it to the title game, which they will, because I don't care what Rob says, TCU doesn't belong there, then Michigan will not only have bragging rights, they can say that Ohio State lost on purpose because they didn't want to face them. Because, that's the kind of stuff you should talk, I guess. I think German people eat hot dogs with sauerkraut. Come on, Kevin. You never had a kraut dog before? I've had it. I don't like it. I bet Rob's had one too.
with sauerkraut on hot dogs.
I'm better with it on kielbasa. It needs to be a bigger, and the flavor is better that way. My uncle used to make sauerkraut and kielbasa. It's like we got a bunch of haters over here.
Couple haters. A couple haters. A Michigan Ohio State natty would be a blast. I don't care what as a outside.
It would be a
Lonzo would be a nuts.
I would. Something you don't see very often, but yes, I would.
By the way, let me ask you guys, since y'all are the ones on the stream that hang out, because we got mostly the consistent Rob bots in here for the national championship game, for the playoffs. If we did a virtual watch along, right? If we did a Peyton and Eli virtual watch along, where we told you exactly where we were in the game so that you guys could watch at the same time, would you be interested in that? because I've considered it, and I think it could be fun. But I'm only going to do it if people are going to watch it. If we did an alternate, well, not alternate, we can't obviously show you the game. But if we did a watch along, like put us on your phone, put us on your laptop, watch the game on your TV, would you be interested in that?
Can say one thing. If that were a thing to happen, if Ohio State's in the playoff, I would not be allowed to do it from my house. Because my wife will not allow the extra noise when the Buckeyes are playing. That's just how that works. You don't call, you don't text, you don't do
I would assume
anything.
since it's your team, you would not do it, which would be completely understandable.
If it was a work night, I would do it, especially if there are talent fees involved. Because as a famous crab once said, I love money. So, I mean, you know.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We'll get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we'll take care of that for you.
How many times did you go watch the Spider-Verse 2 trailer to see how many Spider-Men you could identify?
I thought about it, but I was busy trying to get past a stupid boss.
I found Spider Cop.
Cool. UCLA hosted Clemson transfer quarterback DJ Uiagalelei on an unofficial visit earlier this week. So he'll be joining the Big Ten.
From the Ingles Market Studio.
I don't hate any of this, to be honest with you. Can the people on the stream hear this?
Yeah, we had it last year.
Okay.
So, but I mean, it's a year, so you forget about it. Because I forgot about it too. I'm like, I know I put some stuff in there, so I'm hearing it for the first time again too.
It's a good jam. Don't hate it.
Probably be a lot more fun to play, I guess.
If I knew how.
Come on, you're Rob Brown.
Turns out that doesn't mean anything. All right. Let's get some final thoughts in here before we take off for the day. Dow Loggins, we talked about the presser from Shano earlier. Dow Loggins said that priority number one for him is to recruit Spencer Rattler back for one more year. He said, quote, "We've got to do a great job recruiting him back. I told someone he is the biggest recruit since my wife." Hey-o. Dude's got jokes. Folks still not sure about the future for Spencer Rattler. Started the season slow. Obviously had some pretty impressive performances over Tennessee and Clemson. And the question mark was, is he an NFL caliber dude? Or did the first half of the season kind of do him in a little bit? I think Spence is probably a guy, if he went to the draft, I would say fourth round guy.
How much could he help himself if he played really well against Notre Dame? He's got to stay in another year.
A little bit.
He's got to stay in another year.
I think so too.
This draft is too quarterback heavy at the top. Yeah, you wait another year.
I agree. I think Spence should come back. Especially considering, and listen, this is one spot that I do think Dow Loggins helps. We're going to have question marks about his play calling till we see it. We're going to have question marks about his personnel strategy until we see it. And it's all fair questions to have. I think the reality here, if nothing else, is the fact that Dow Loggins runs a pro-style offense. We'll get to see what Spence looks like in a true pro-style offense. And B, even if he failed there many times, Dow Loggins is a guy who's been in the league, right? So if nothing else, he can go, while none of my quarterbacks in the league were successful, I can tell you what not to do. I can tell you what traits are valued by NFL general managers and head coaches, right? Regardless of how you feel about Dow Loggins, I absolutely think the correct decision for Spencer Rattler is to come back. Again, wouldn't fault him if he decides to go, but I will also say that the fact that he is going to play in this bowl game, Lonzo, leads me to believe he knows that and leads me to believe he's got one more year in him.
Oh, I agree. If he was going into the draft, I think he would not play.
Yeah. I think he understands not just that he needs another year to increase his NFL value, but that he can increase his NFL value with a former NFL OC.
And now the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
All right, time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what is trending and he will tell us what it is and why it is, but before that, just something I never do, but I'm going to do really quick. Remind you to tomorrow night, 7 to 9 p.m., the Upstate Pulse annual Christmas karaoke special, because Rob's going to be on it, and you get to hear Rob sing, and you want to do. You've already heard how bad I sing, so now you get to hear Rob sing also. So you should tune in 7 to 9 p.m. on 106.3 WRD.
Oh, yeah.
You're definitely going to be hearing that. Also, you can it'll be on Twitch and YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. So check out all that. All right, the first thing that's trending is Sasha Banks.
So the storyline has come out there, and Fightful and a couple of other dirt sheets have reported that the part of the reason that Sasha Banks left WWE was because she wanted to be making money equivalent to Becky Lynch, to Charlotte Flair, and WWE came back to her with a figure that not only wasn't in that ballpark, it wasn't particularly close, and she kind of took that with great offense, and that was why she ultimately decided to take a break after she and Naomi walked off the scene and left their belts behind in doing so. Look, I think Sasha's got superstar potential. And I think obviously with her premiere in The Mandalorian and some of the other projects she's been involved with, there's absolutely a lot of value to Sasha Banks. Becky Lynch was the most organically over wrestler since Daniel Bryan, and Charlotte Flair. So I'm not saying she wouldn't have eventually got there, but I kind of see both sides of it.
Do you wonder how much Bayley makes? Because you think of the 4 horsewomen of NXT, and Bayley is the other woman out of them, and I wonder how much she makes.
For the record, don't know how much any of them make.
Yeah,
I have no clue. I know that Mandy Rose, who was the third longest reigning NXT Women's Champion of all time, and the other two ahead of her are both on the main roster, decided that she was able to make more money by posting her boobs on the internet, decided to walk. So, the theory is the report is that she asked for a release like 2 weeks ago. NXT/WWE said no. And she was like, bet I can make it happen, and split. So, I don't know what that's worth.
All right. The next and probably last thing that's trending is Vox Machina.
The Redman trailer for The Legend of Vox Machina Season 2 dropped yesterday. I'll tell you this. If you did not watch the campaign play out, like the players actually playing the game, there's a lot of it that won't make any sense to you. If you did watch the campaign, you're greatly looking forward to Season 2. The folks who make this show are remarkably talented voice actors, but a lot of the depth of the story obviously can't be told in a 12-episode second season. That can be told in a 144-hour apiece episode online game. That being said, Lonzo, it looks fun.
All right. Just ignore everything that Rob said. If you haven't watched any of that other stuff and you just decide to watch it, it's pretty good.
I'll watch it anyway.
Yeah, because I watched it and I didn't know any of the stuff he's talking about, and I was entertained and offended.
By the way, all the panic, South Carolina has 9 players in the transfer portal. You know who has the most? Texas A&M, Lonzo, has 25 players in the portal.
Wow.
Florida has 19, Arkansas 18, Mississippi 18, Alabama 15. Those are your top 4 in the SEC. Maybe it's not so bad, eh, Gamecocks? Hey, y'all have a great weekend. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. I hope you have a fabulous weekend, and we will see you back here on Monday to do it all over again on The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. If I was going to do karaoke, Joseph, that would be a phenomenal pick. Can I do tequila, but as Macho Man?
No, this is Christmas karaoke.
Oh, yeah. Tequila.
Yeah, this is Christmas karaoke. No.
The worm rises to the top. That's a good joke. That's a better joke than it got credit for. All right, dude. Y'all are awesome. Thank y'all very much for hanging out with us. Joe said I would watch the actual game, but I would mute it and only listen to your commentary. I appreciate that. We might do it. I'm leaning towards it. We'll think about it. Y'all are the best. We will see you back here on Monday. Have a lovely weekend. Thank you and goodbye.